Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's public forum for the 27th of July 2026. I must start by PF1 recording of the public forum. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed in accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice and will be made publicly available on Albury City's website. Attendance at this meeting is taken as consent to being recorded and included in the live stream. Any person who does not consent to being recorded may choose to leave the meeting. Members of the public are reminded to refrain from making defamatory statements or disclosing personal information, noting that Albury City is not responsible for comments made by individuals. Recordings and live streams are protected by copyright and remain the property of Albury City. No part of the meeting may be copied, recorded, reproduced or transmitted without the prior written consent of the Chief Executive Officer. PF2, conflict of interest declaration received by the Chair. Mr McGrath.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I have two. The first one is from Councillor Callaghan. It's a non-pecuniary, less than significant, I'm assuming, less than significant interest. The brief description is that a family member has made a submission to the draft heritage strategy review. It's in respect of the item 13.2 on tonight's agenda. The action to be taken by Councillor Callaghan is to stay in the room and vote. The second one is from Councillor Glacken. A non-pecuniary less than significant interest as a family member has made representation to council or is to make a representation to council. The conflict is in respect of the ordinary council meeting tonight, CM 13.3, but also the matter is raised at the public forum. The action intended to be taken is to remain in the chamber and participate in the decision.
Thank you, Mr McGrath. Okay, moving right along. We have our speakers, PF 3.1, Noel Jackling, CM 13.2, Draft Heritage Strategy Review, Public Exhibition Submission, speaking against the recommendation. Mr Jackling, if you could come up to the mic, thanks.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Albury Post Office has 3 heritage listings, local, state and Commonwealth. These listings focus primarily on the architecture of the building. The Borough Charter 1979 for places of cultural significance places emphasis not so much on architectural significance but on the social and historical significance of a structure. None of the 3 listings currently incorporate anything about the historical and social significance of the Albury Post Office in relation to the Ivor event in Albury. The recommendation before you supports doing this, but for the state listing only. It says that this should be done in the mid-term to long term, which is defined as in 3 years to 10 years' time. There is no rationale for limiting the support to the state heritage listing. My proposal, therefore, is to extend support for the incorporation of of the historical and social significance of the Ivor event to local, state and Commonwealth listings. It also seeks to make a commitment to doing this in the 1929 to 1930 budget year. That is, and I'm being sensitive, I hope, to the financial situation at the moment, that is in the first year after the completion of the current delivery program 20 to 25, 20 to 29 and operational plan. I do support the passing of the motion to adopt the Heritage Strategy 2025-2035, but to qualify this by passing a following motion as follows. And if I could have the next slide. Notwithstanding the provisions of the Heritage Strategy 2025-2035, to review Albury State Heritage listings in the medium to long term. In the 2029 to 2030 budget to renominate/amend A, the state heritage listing of the Albury Post Office, and B, the LEP listing of the Albury Post Office, and C, the Commonwealth Heritage List listing of the Albury Post Office. 2, additionally acknowledge the historical and social significance of the entire post office in its relationship to the Ivor story. Heritage is the means by which the community records its history and culture. It is important to make a commitment to doing this while there are people around who know the Ivor story, and not to push it off into the never, or maybe the next heritage review set to be undertaken in 2035. I want to conclude actually by telling a short story, a short Ivor heritage story. The scene is the city of Bandung on the island of Java on the 1st of March 1942. The Japanese are only 30 kilometres away and are closing in fast. Pilot Gerson van Messel gives his wife Leonora 3/4 of an hour to pack up. They have 2 daughters aged 10 and 8 and a 1-month-old son. 6 KNILM aircraft are set to evacuate to Australia for the last time, going to Broome. They depart at staggered intervals. Because of their heavy load, there is a need for a refuelling stop. So they must first of all fly 500 kilometres east to Malang, towards the eastern end of Java, to refuel there. Pilot Gerson van Messel, in a DC-5, is the first to leave and departs at 4:45 in the afternoon. When he reaches Malang, some 3.5 hours later, it's dark and no airport lights are on. No one responds to the droning of the approaching machine. Suspicious. Have the Japanese overrun the airfield? Captain Van Messel breaks radio silence and requests landing lights. Nothing happens. Worried, Van Messel continues to circle above the field. Suddenly, a signal lamp below begins to flash in Morse code, in Dutch. No electricity, wait. What's going on? But a sharp mind at the airport has remembered Albury and the radio call from the post office for cars to go to the racecourse and use their car headlights to illuminate a landing strip for the Ivor. 8 years after the London to Melbourne air race, Malang follows exactly the same method. Motorists requisitioned from Malang park their cars alongside the runway, turn on their headlights. Van Messel can land. The 6 planes are saved. This story is actually part of our shared Dutch-Australian heritage, and it is part of the heritage of the Albury Post Office that now needs to be recorded. I commend to you my proposed motion following adoption of the Heritage Strategy 2025 to 2035. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Jackling. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Glacken has a question. Councillor Jackling, now you're moving motions.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My question through you to our speaker tonight is with reference to those 6 planes. You said they got as far as the Malang. Did they get any further? Did they make it to Broome?
Yes, they got to Malang very late that night on the 2nd of March, and they refuelled, and they, in a staggered fashion, they departed for Broome about 1-2 o'clock in the morning. It was a 7-hour flight south east to Broome, and they all arrived there safely. But there was a hitch. When Van Messel got out of the plane, he first immediately inquired as to whether there had been any Japanese reconnaissance planes flying over Broome. Yes, there was one yesterday. Van Messel knew from his Netherlands East Indies experience that meant there would be a raid on Broome the following day. So he needed to get the planes refuelled and get out of Broome. Problem was the American bombers had priority over Dutch civilian aircraft, and that problem was overcome by the fact that the Dutch had sent a tanker with aviation fuel to Broome, and so the KNLM got their aviation fuel immediately and flew out of Broome, and at 9:30 a.m. the next morning, Broome was bombed to smithereens.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor King.
Thank you, Noel. I know you've made great effort to travel by train from Melbourne to be here. Can you explain, just remind us of, I guess, your background and your passion for this project? You were trying to even come up with a public-private partnership or some way at that stage. Can you just shed a light as to why this is so passionate and important to you, and why you feel the need to, when the budget may be right, to look at this in greater detail?
Yes. I think it needs to be understood that the Heritage Review was first commissioned by Council in October 2021, and it called for submissions in July 2022, and that was in July 2022 that I put in my submission for the Albury Post Office to have its heritage listing changed. I knew that the Post Office was the central communication hub to the whole of the IVA event, and my interest in the IVA event emanates from the fact that I knew Arthur Newnham, who was the Radio 2CO operator, who on the first floor of the Albury Post Office called on cars to go out to the racecourse. So it was always part of my heritage. And so when I observed that these listings didn't have anything about this social and historical significance, or the social and historical significance of this event, back in 22, I sought to redress this and have pursued it for the last 4 years.
Councillor Buller, a question?
Oh, not so much a question, Mayor Mac, just to commend Mr. Jackling on his research and giving us a history lesson on something that was a significant event in Albury back in its day, and to take the lesson back a little bit further and give us a bit of a highlight on what has actually happened to preceding that is to be commended. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was really good.
Thank you, Mr. Jackling. Okay, our next presenter, if I can get the agenda up on the screen, thanks, is P3.2 is Jacinda O'Brien, CM 13.2, Draft Heritage Strategy Review, Public Exhibition Submission, speaking against the recommendation.
Good evening, can you hear me?
We can, yep.
Thank you. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Jacinda O'Brien. I'm the Manager of Campus and Space Planning at Charles Sturt University, and I want to begin by acknowledging the significant amount of work that has gone into the Heritage Review. It is a complex and city-shaping piece of work, and we appreciate the scale of the task before Council. Charles Sturt University has a long history of caring for heritage buildings across our campuses. Many of our sites, including here in Albury, contain buildings of genuine heritage significance, and we take our stewardship responsibilities seriously. We have our own heritage asset management strategy, and we invest in conservation, maintenance and adaptive reuse because we understand the value these places hold for our communities. When we became aware that buildings 673 and 678 had been nominated for heritage listing, we approached the matter with the same level of care. Although we were not aware of the nominations until after they had occurred, we immediately began working through the heritage criteria to understand the basis for the nominations and to ensure we could contribute constructively to the process. To do this, we engaged independent heritage expertise at our cost. We wanted to make sure that the information we provided to Council within our submission was accurate, thorough and aligned with the expectations of the heritage guidelines. We recognise the heritage assessment is complex and we wanted to support Council by ensuring the evidence relating to our buildings was complete and reliable. May I ask for the next slide, please? Thank you. Through this work, it became clear that Building 678 does not meet the heritage criteria and therefore Charles Sturt does not support the proposed listing of Building 678. The building has deteriorated significantly over time and it no longer retains the integrity or original fabric that would support a heritage nomination. This is not a matter of opinion, it is a factual condition of the building today as outlined in our submission and evidenced by the photos that you see. Next slide, please. Thank you. We invited council officers to visit the campus and inspect these buildings with us. We felt it would be helpful to walk through the sites together and share the factual history and condition of each building. While that visit has not yet occurred, the invitation does remain open and we would welcome the opportunity to host council at any time. Next slide, please. In regard to Building 673, we believe this does hold heritage value and we fully support its recognition. Our request, as outlined in our submission, is that the listing be refined to reflect the part of the building that carries that significance. Specifically, we ask that the listing apply to the front eastern facade only, which is the portion of the building that retains its heritage character. Next slide, please. And finally, I wanted to address item I330, which is the Ramderth buildings. The university fully supports the continued listings of these buildings. They are genuinely significant and we have invested in their care for many years. However, the current 20-hectare curtilage does not reflect the actual heritage fabric. It captures roads, infrastructure and unrelated buildings and appears to have been applied historically as a broad circular boundary rather than considered. In attachment 10, Council's response to submission, it notes that any correction to this curtilage is not within the scope and it could be considered during the planning proposal stage at the university's cost. We simply wish to note that this boundary was originally created by Council and the university was not involved in its development. Given that, we respectfully ask that the Council support a review and correction of the curtilage as part of the heritage review so that the boundary reflects the actual heritage elements of the Ramderth buildings. This would ensure the review progresses with accurate information and avoids placing an unnecessary burden on the university to justify a boundary that was not of our making. Our requests this evening are therefore threefold. Charles Sturt requests that the proposed nominations in the Heritage Review be amended to remove Building 678 from the proposed Heritage nominations, amend the proposed listing for Building 673 so that it applies to the front eastern facade only, which is the portion of the building that retains heritage character, and include a review and correction of the 20-hectare curtilage for item I330 within the scope of the Heritage Review. We believe this approach allows the broader Heritage Review to move forward while ensuring that the nominations accurately reflect the buildings that genuinely meet the criteria. As a university, our core focus is supporting our students, delivering education and maintaining the spaces they learn and work in. And the time and resources we invested in this Heritage Review, including commissioning external heritage expertise, have been significant. But we feel this is worthwhile in order to provide Council with an informed response to the heritage nomination based on factual criteria. Thank you again for your time and for considering our request.
Thank you very much. Any questions? No, all good. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, Jacinta.
Thank you very much.
Okay, 3.3. Kate Lennertz, Mina Sue, 13.2, Draft Heritage Strategy, Public Exhibition Submission, speaking against the recommendation. I believe she's on the screen.
Hi, thank you for inviting us to join today to provide a submission on the Hume Dam listing. I'm Mina Sue. I'm Environment and Heritage Manager for Modern New South Wales, and I'm joined by Kate Lennertz, our Heritage Specialist. Next slide, please. So the next 4 slides will simply be speaking to the key points that we've made in our council submission on this matter. So there's no new concepts or thoughts introduced. As you understand, Water New South Wales owns the Hume Dam and operates on behalf of the Murray-Darling Basin Authority. The MDBA, while they're responsible for the planning of the basin's water resources, the day-to-day operations is undertaken by Water New South Wales, including maintenance and management of works, while Goulburn Murray Water manages the water and forestry located in Victoria. Part of the dam we recognize is located in the Albury City LGA. The dam supplies water across 3 states, that's for irrigation and household needs for towns and landholders along the river, and it's also used for flood mitigation and hydroelectricity. Next slide, please. As per our submission, we oppose the listing of the Hume Dam as a local heritage item in the Schedule 5 of Council's LEP, as proposed in Council's draft heritage review. This is because primarily the listing will directly impact the way we plan and approve our works and will likely add additional planning, assessment, and approval processes for maintenance and repair works necessary to keep the dam functionality and its operations running smoothly. And there is a focus in our submission that talks about the limitations this will pose using the state environmental planning policy, transport and infrastructure, which allows us to undertake minor or inconsequential impact works using exempt development provisions. It will also add additional costs to our customers due to the potential increased costs required for additional environmental and heritage impact assessment. And while it's not on the slide, this will mean that we will have to look at critically reprioritizing some of our forward works within our funding program and window to make sure that we can undertake the works that are most critical while taking on board the additional costs and time implications of the LEP listing. Next slide, please. And over to Kate.
Thank you, Mina. Hume Dam is already listed as a heritage item. It's listed on Water New South Wales' Heritage and Conservation Register, and it is afforded protection under this listing. It requires Water New South Wales to maintain the asset and confer with Heritage New South Wales if we wish to undertake a partial or full demolition. Water New South Wales already celebrates the importance of Hume Dam and in particular its heritage status. Well, we've been advised by Council that the assessment of the asset in attachment 2 of the papers that are provided this evening, as part of the listing process, it's going to require further refinement. Water New South Wales argues that it's not been assessed appropriately. It did not consider the jurisdictional issues, which MDBA will mention in their presentation after this one, and it did not assess each of the potential significance criteria to which the potential listing should be assessed against. Only listing part of the structure will increase the complexity associated with environmental and heritage impact assessments. Water New South Wales does have dams listed on other council LEPs and on the State Heritage Register, but they are not partial listing of the dam wall. Next slide, please. In conclusion, the listing will be counterproductive to supporting the dam's functionality and heritage values by adding additional planning processes to deliver necessary forward works program. This will have implications for our customers, especially in terms of cost and time implications. And those customers, of course, are across the 3 states within your area. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, question?
Thank you for the presentation this evening, Kate and Mina. I hear your frustrations, and I was just hoping that you could share your qualifications with me again, Kate and Mina, because I didn't quite grasp those.
I will go first. I have a bachelor's in anthropology and a master's in environmental planning.
Thank you, Mina.
And I work for Water New South Wales as our heritage specialist. I have over 20 years experience in the heritage industry. I have a degree in environmental science, a honours and a master's qualification.
I ask a follow-up question, just in regards to the feedback that you've received from Albury City Council regarding the Hume Dam listing. Can you give some feedback on how you've taken that?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Did you hear that, Mina? Sorry.
Yes, that's a question relating to council's feedback to Water New South Wales in terms of our submission.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Kate, do you want to take that one?
I'm sorry, I still didn't hear what the question was.
Albury City Council have provided feedback to Water New South Wales. I suppose you have a response to that as well, and that's why you're presenting to us this evening. You're finding that that was inadequate?
Look, they said that they would work with us on the assessment of the listing in terms of our view that it is inadequate, but we also believe that it should have been done beforehand, before it reached this stage. And we'd also like to work with them in terms of the proposed curtilage of the listing. NDBA will also speak to that, but it's a huge listing, which we don't think is also appropriate for the significance of the item.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Gluckin.
Thank you. I think it was Kate in her presentation referenced if they wanted to demolish the dam, they'd have to seek permission from Heritage New South Wales. Is it simply demolish the dam, or did you intend to say more than just demolish? Or
Yeah, the legislation has us contacting Heritage New South Wales when there's partial demolition or full demolition. I know that's very unlikely, but that is what is written within the Heritage Act and what we need to work towards when we are planning our works.
Thank you. If I can ask a follow-up for further clarification on that. So partial or complete demolition of the dam. Is there anything else that you would need to request permission from Heritage New South Wales for? So if you wanted to change the colour of the dam or shape of some of the arches or something, is there anything else you'd need to request permission for, or is it just partial or complete demolition?
Technically, also, if we were going to transfer it to another entity or fail to occupy it, it is based in the legislation. Those sorts of questions which you're asking are more through the Heritage Impact Assessment process, and they would have to be considered if the dam was to get partial listing on your LEP. Those types of questions would be considered and would go to council as part of a statement of heritage impact.
Thank you. And the reason I asked is because the partial or complete demolition, they're pretty significant things, and it was just if there was something else like a renovation, etc. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
I might fill that gap and clarify that further. So referring back to the Transport and Infrastructure Set, the State Environmental Planning Policy, there are specific provisions there that allow public authorities to undertake certain works. That's to do with water storage facilities or water supply systems for us, irregardless of the zoning generally. So we can undertake those works, whether it's development without consent or exempt development. Now, exempt development pathway is quite restrictive. It makes sure that the impacts or the potential impacts are minor or inconsequential, and it does have some consideration towards whether, if it's listed on a state heritage register, correct me if I'm wrong, but even on a local LEP item, we consider whether notification to council is triggered or a statement of heritage impact is required. So to have to fill the gap between whether minor and inconsequential works or major works like partial demolition or demolition, we would still look at whether a statement of heritage impact is needed if it's more than inconsequential or minor repair work, so that we're following the heritage legislation appropriately with the linkage back to the planning legislation. So I may clarify that there is not this huge gap where we either do a statement of heritage impact or don't do it at all. We will still consider that if there's repair works that are more than minor, we will still look at undertaking a statement of heritage impact because it's on our Section 170 register.
Thank you.
Councillor Bullen.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I'm just going to rehash that question that Councillor Glacken went through, and we got an answer. But given that the Hume Dam is a state and national significance of architecture and water storage, I would suspect somewhere in the legislation, if there was work needed to be doing and it had a heritage overlay on it, that I think the state significant installation would get priority over the heritage. Would that be a good assumption?
Well, generally speaking, in terms of planning pathways, if a project is declared or is identified as state significant development or infrastructure, in this case it's likely infrastructure because we're dealing with a water infrastructure system or supply system, there are certain things that switch off various pieces of legislation that has to do with roads, but also Heritage and National Parks and Wildlife Act in terms of Aboriginal cultural heritage protections. So yes, and they do switch off for all state significant projects. And there is that pathway, but that would be quite the extreme case where, we would look at that planning pathway. We generally would look at our works to undertake critical and necessary infrastructure works that are needed in the next few years. And I don't believe that we have anything planned in the state significant space for the Hume Dam. But once again, correct me if I'm wrong, Kate.
No, that's my understanding, Nina.
As long as it's not partial or full demolition. Councillor Callaghan, question.
Thank you. And just a final one. Albury's motto is no red. We like to provide the red carpet, not the red tape. And from what I'm hearing is that you do not support the listing. In fact, you oppose it. And this is going to add additional bureaucratic red tape for your organisation. Is that correct?
Yes, it would. It would require additional heritage and potentially environmental impact assessments that we self-assess at the moment.
Thank you.
So in terms of the dam itself, the wall is partly in New South Wales and the other half's in Victoria, is that right?
Yes, although I think it's less in Albury and more in the Victorian side. The MDBA will do a presentation shortly that will show you that.
Oh, thank you. I know it follows the original river, so the river probably did curl back there. Thank you, ladies. No further questions. We're on to our next speaker, which is PF 3.4, Natalie Dando, 13.2, Draft Heritage Strategy Review Public Exhibition, speaking against the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Thank you for your time this evening. The MDBA support the responsible conservation, protection and management of heritage values. Items, places and areas of heritage significance should be appropriately identified and managed to maintain their significance for current and future generations. My name is Natalie Dando and I'm the Director of Environmental Assets at the Murray-Darling Basin Authority, based here in Albury. And I'm here to talk to you about the proposed listing of Hume Dam. The area proposed to be listed for local heritage protection is shown in the highlighted blue area, if I can get this to work. I understand that the original 67 hectare site, which is shown in blue, has now been proposed to be reduced to the area that I've highlighted in yellow. I'm not saying that the yellow area is correct, but my understanding is that the reduced area is to reduce it down towards the dam wall. So it might be a little bit more in a couple of different directions. But ultimately, the area that's proposed to be listed will be in the area that's highlighted blue. The MDBA's submission talked to the need for careful consideration of a listing to ensure the consistency of approach of heritage management at Hume within both states, Victoria and New South Wales. Of interest, and to Councillor Mack's point before about the river, the dark blue arrow on this slide shows the River Murray Channel, and the blue highlighted area reflects the original location of the River Murray as well as the state border. For those of you who are like me, who might prefer photos rather than maps, this is showing that same yellow area, but from a side view looking at the structure. As previously submitted to Council, Hume Dam is on Water New South Wales Section 170 Heritage and Conservation Register under the New South Wales Heritage Act of 1977. The inclusion of this dam on the register provides formal notice requirements to the New South Wales Heritage Council, providing oversight and consideration of heritage significance at the site. A heritage conservation management plan for Hume Dam has been in place for over 10 years. The plan provides the principal guiding document for heritage conservation and management for the site. The plan provides a careful analysis of why the place is significant, policies on how to retain its significance, and conservation strategies to ensure its long-term viability. Even with the reduced curtilage for the proposed local listing, we maintain the position that we submitted to Council. And I'd like Council to clarify, if possible, what additional heritage protection would be afforded to Hume Dam by the proposed listing beyond what's already in place. And lastly, what is the justification for the additional protection or administration being applied to this listed section of this structure? Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Any questions, Councillor? Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you for your presentation, Natalie. I will ask your questions to the staff on your behalf. I just didn't capture the first one, if you don't mind.
So the first one was around what additional protection will be afforded to the structure above what's already in place? And then the second was around, and what's the justification for this limited area of protection across the structure?
Thank you very much.
So, Ms Downer, just to get some clarity around the New South Wales Government Heritage listing, is that for the same section?
Can't answer that question. You'd need to.
Because if it is, then the other section is not Cowabunny Heritage listing.
The existing conservation plan covers the whole site, so it covers the whole dam wall. The register, though, I can't talk to that. Water New South Wales would need to answer that.
Okay. I'd say they'd be one and the same if it's based on boundaries. Okay, any other questions, councillors? No? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
And your visual display. It's a wonderful picture. Okay, PF 3.5, Charles Mitchell, CM 13.3, Financial Sustainability Update, speaking against the recommendation.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors and staff. I refer to the financial sustainability path that Albury City Council is going down to increase the base rate by up to 52% over 3 years. This is an unsustainable and unaffordable path for residents. Residents don't want a rate rise, of course, especially a special rate variation introduced by council management that overspends its allocated budget. Management points to several efficiency reports, which means very little when there is little tangible financial relief for ratepayers. Rather than executing major structural reforms for the swollen organisation, savings of 2 to 3% are touted. The Local Government Act says councils should provide the best possible value for residents and ratepayers. Those obligations matter before asking households for an extraordinary rate rise. Residents are not getting best value with overheads at 20%. Councillor Cameron, quoted in the Border Mail, identified the problem. Special rate variations are an admission of failure. I'm informed by council management that over 40 councils have applied to IPART in recent years, as if this validates Albury's rate hike. Since when did the budget failures of other councils become our standard of excellence? Albury should be leading on financial discipline, not following the trend of living beyond our means. In 10 years, council has added 151 full-time employees, bringing the workforce from 456 to 607 in 2025. That's about a 3% staff growth rate. Yet Albury's population grew only by 1.5%. In other words, council added staff at almost double the pace of Albury's growth. Council management knew of the growing debt, particularly last year, but even in 2025, management put on an additional 29 employees. Has council now put a hold on new and in replacement employees, given our debt situation? Probably no. Council survey steers residents towards a predetermined outcome through loaded framing and material emissions. By withholding a viable 11% rate peg, combined with structural and efficiency reform, creates confirmation bias rather than delivering transparent community consultation. I refer management and staff to sections 439 and 8A of the Local Government Act regarding the legal obligations to act honestly, with care, diligence and impartiality. Council must operate ethically and without bias, and management is statutorily bound to answer for what it includes as well as what it omits. I do not believe Council's community survey is unbiased. Management have chosen the easy path, trimming around the edges rather than tackling the substantive organisational restructuring needed to achieve $20 million in ongoing savings. Genuine structural reform paired with a standard rate peg would eliminate the need for the SRV. I now refer to Councillor Bullivant's December Board of Mayor comments. Let's make the adjustments we need now, so we can look back and say we made the right decisions when it truly counted. Ratepayers need to see a genuine and significant restructure pathway by council management focused on essential infrastructure and core community services becoming efficient and effective. The pathway adopted by council appears to be one of the most comfortable for the organisation. Preserve the structure, reduce some visible services with a significant rate rise. The action of management do not go to the heart of problem, to redress long-term financial sustainability. My suggested recommendations to councillors is a request for a motion to support the residents, that councillors direct the CEO to undertake a major organisational restructure, to find the savings to eliminate the unfair SRV rate burden on residents, and the community be informed of what they are paying for by providing the income and expenditure by service report for the last 5 years. I concur with the CEO, Mr McGrath, who said being very open and transparent with the community is critically important. However, the more I investigate, the more I lose trust in Albury Council, providing our councillors with correct and impartial information to support our ratepayers.
Thank you. Questions, councillors? No? Councillor King.
Thank you for your submission. Can you give a little bit more detail about the income and expenditure report? I think you might have touched on it once before, but have you now had more time to go in depth in terms of how that might look like, what that might look like and what that might reveal?
So the income and expenditure report goes into each service area, lists the expenditure of materials, plant and equipment, employee costs, and basically identifies over time the trend in that particular service area, whether it's increasing, decreasing, and you can get an idea of the efficiency of the service provided by council. It's not a report that is commonly provided by councils, but it is important. Wodonga provided those reports. Those reports revealed the overcharging to ratepayers in Wodonga. These reports, I think, are essential to be provided to the community because the ratepayers are paying for the service, but they don't know how much they're paying. You know, you don't buy things off the shelf when you don't know the price.
Councillor? Yep. Mr Mitchell, just in relation to your suggestion about undertaking a major organisational restructure to find the savings, have you ever understood what that would cost council to do in terms of dollars? Do you understand what that is?
Yes, I've observed what happened in 2017-18 when the restructure came, and we lost significant number of employees from core corporate areas. We lost a depth of corporate information, and it cost us to pay redundancies to those people. That restructure actually has been, since that time, we've paid increasing overheads of 20%. So that restructure was fundamentally flawed.
But in terms of the cost of doing a restructure, do you have any understanding of the figure involved?
I don't have that figure off the top of my head. Maybe you and the councillors have been informed of that, but that's information that hasn't been provided to the public.
Well, it's in the millions, it's not in the hundreds, so that would be a significant reorg that you're requesting, so you want us to spend millions of dollars to achieve an objective that, in your view, is required. Are you aware that Davidson Australia have already reviewed our organisational structure in the last 12 months that was requested as a motion of council?
I'm not aware of that, but I would say that when an organisation goes from about $120 $130 million to $200 million in such a short pace of time, over 10 years, that ballooning or swelling of the council is basically unreasonable growth when you compare the population hasn't grown at that rate. There's a disconnect somewhere. There's fundamental issues in the services and the way council's going about its business.
But Davidson found, who are exemplars in their field, that we're running lean and quite cost negative. So it contradicts what you're trying to say to us here right now.
I mean, people say, you know, you get what you pay for. And my comment is that the report probably needs to be revisited.
So you're also aware that in the last 2 years, this group of councils have also put motions before and achieved a financial review of our audit and budget process, and also an accelerated service program, which is part of tonight's report. Are you aware of that occurring?
I'm aware of the several reports that council's produced, but when you look at that they haven't provided the tangible benefits or reduction in costs, when the bottom line is we have a huge organisation that, from the indicators, isn't efficient. So there's an underlying problem there, even with report after report.
But they're being addressed currently as well, though. You haven't given them a chance to come to fruition.
No, but the way I keep hearing that, you know, we're basically appear to be heading for a $5 million saving, that's not sufficient. We have overspent our budget. When I say we, Albury Council has overspent the budget regularly, taken out loans. It's just been a slow, gradual spiral into debt. And I refer to the 2050 towards tomorrow, whatever it is. That plan, you know, talks about visionary stuff. Well, seems as if affordability hasn't been the focus of that report either.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, do you have a question?
I have more of a statement, if you don't mind. Just reflecting on the Davison Org review that we received, I would go as far as saying it was quite underwhelming, a waste of money and a waste of time. I think it was basically a desktop analysis that was done from Sydney. I think not much came from that, and I would agree. I think we need to do some more investigation.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Mitchell. Thanks for your presentation. Okay, we've got our final speaker, Susan Kieran, 13.3, Financial Sustainability Update, speaking against the recommendation.
Firstly, I just want to say good evening to the Mayor, councillors, council staff, fellow residents and members of the public who have come out in support of us tonight. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Susan Kieran and I'm here on behalf of the Albury Ratepayers Association, representing a large number of the community that are deeply concerned about the proposed SRV rate rise of up to 52% over 3 years. First, let me say we are not here because we enjoy fighting with council as it has been portrayed by the media. We are here because we believe decisions of this magnitude must have the confidence and support of the community. My primary concern is that Albury City Council has shifted the financial burden primarily onto ratepayers without first exhausting internal structural reforms. I appreciate that managing a growing city like ours involves difficult decisions, and I don't underestimate that responsibility for a second. My husband and I have been self-employed now for 25 years, and we understand how to run a profitable business. As Council has previously stated, part of the problem was undercharging development fees, known as infrastructure contribution fees in New South Wales, all of which adds up to some serious misfunds when we are now asking the community to be a bank for Albury City Council. If these fees had have been charged in past developments and used on those developments only, we may not be in the mess we are now. Albury City Council chose to undercharge on approximately 897 blocks, a total of nearly $27 million, and put up the fees to only $20,000 per lot last year, when we could have gone up to $30,000. I'm still at a loss as to why we didn't charge the maximum when we could, when developers are making plenty of money. 30% of our community are over the age of 60. While my parents are no longer with me, I still run into their friends, and the heartbreaking talks you have with them about how tough times are right now is really concerning. Some tell me they can only afford to heat one room in their place, while others say they just put on extra clothes and go to bed early because they can't afford the heating. It just saddens me. Sorry, but gosh, it's hot in here. I'm actually quite sweaty. So yeah, we can afford heating here. Others can only have a hot meal 4 to 5 times a week because costs are going up everywhere. I know it's not just the elderly that are suffering. We are all looking at how we can cut costs. Parents have to make difficult decisions on outside of school lessons for their kids that they can't afford anymore. I'm sure over the past year or more, we have all dipped into that little nest egg that we like to have. The feedback we are hearing from the community is that no one can afford this SRV, and we, the community, are asking Council to look within themselves, sort out your own back of house, balance incoming funds with affordable projects, trim some financial fat, and charge the maximum you can for developments. We, the ratepayers and renters that make up this wonderful community, should not be expected to be a bank for Albury City. If you wish to treat us this way, then we will ask you to show us your books before we just hand out money as a gift, not even a loan. The flow-on effects from a rate rise will jeopardise how local businesses, as residents, will have to curtail their spending on eating out, entertainment and shopping for non-essential items. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the Albury ratepayers of the wonderful community. Woo! It's hot. Thank you. Dropping the mic.
Thank you. Questions, councillors? Councillor King?
Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for, doing your part to communicate with our community to encourage them to give their feedback. I'm just interested in your perspective in terms of our ability to communicate what we have done, which is what you're suggesting. We may not have communicated that well enough. What's the feedback from your perspective? I know I've been a little critical myself of our internal methods of communicating.
So what you're asking me is how do you think that the community's getting the rate rise and all of this sort of thing?
How would you describe our communication methods as an organisation at this stage?
You know, that's a really funny question when you ask me that, because actually on Friday I'd gone into a place where I get my sandwich at the start of the week, and I'd gone in there, had a yarn to the girls on Dean Street and asked them about the rate rise. No one knew anything about it. And I walked out going, what the hell? How can you guys not have heard anything? Rang up all my community and said, hey, we've got to get out. Let's get some feet on the street. So we actually printed some brochures for the Albury Ratepayers Association. We got out there with information. We grabbed some surveys, which Kate and Gail had lovely organised for us to pick up. And we took those out and we basically door-knocked the whole of CBD, the businesses and everything. When we went in there, it was actually funny because we had about 11 of us going around. And when we all came back and talked at the end of it, we'd gone into businesses, and when we approached them, we'd go in and say, hey, have you heard about the proposed SRV rate rise, blah, blah, blah. And they'd say, if they didn't say no, they'd only heard it about social media or Facebook. They hadn't heard it from the council. They hadn't got any information like that. I'm a little bit, when I came to the last focus group meeting, I actually said, like, how come we're not putting I think we should have had a survey. I think every ratepayer should have actually got it, because I think that's our responsibility. It was actually said that that was going to cost $35,000 to do. What I think should have been done is that this could have been extended. Instead of being the 31st of July, you could have quite easily moved this to be August, and everyone should have got a survey with their rates notice. That would have been a fair way for the Albury residents to have all got it. And I mean, we've also got to remember, it's not just the ratepayers that are going to be affected by this. We all keep saying that, but it's not. It's the renters. We've got commercial people out there, and we've rented commercial properties in town. You pay your outgoings on those rates. So everyone's affected. We're not, I think, to say it's a ratepayers rise, no, it's an everyone. It's everyone's going to get this one. You get one, you get one, you get one.
Okay, no further questions. Thanks, Susan. Presentation. Very worthwhile. I should push the button for.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thanks to our speakers tonight. Now we will start our council meeting for Monday the 27th of July 2026. We'll start by having our opening affirmation. Thank you, Councillor Bullivant.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. We gather to represent the people of Albury who have entrusted us with this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, wisdom and common sense. May our personal values give us honesty and courage to serve our community effectively and with respect for all.
Thank you. Acknowledgement of the country. Councillor Glacken.
We would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people as the traditional custodians of the land that we meet upon today, and pay our respects to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, the culture, the tradition and the hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that contribute to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. May be seated. Okay, CM2, the recording and live streaming of meeting. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed in accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice and will be made publicly available on Albury City's website. Attendance at this meeting is taken as consent to being recorded and included in the live stream. Any person who does not consent to being recorded may choose to leave the meeting. Members of the public are reminded to refrain from making defamatory statements or disclosing personal information, noting that Albury City is not responsible for comments made by the individuals. Recordings and live streams are protected by copyright and remain the property of Albury City. No part of the meeting may be copied, recorded, reproduced or transmitted without the prior written consent of the Chief Executive Officer. Conflict of interest declarations, Mr Mayor, do you wish to repeat those as you did before?
I can repeat them if you like, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. That would be great.
Okay, there's two conflicts of interest being declared. The first one is from Councillor Callaghan. It's a non-pecuniary, less than significant conflict as a family member has made a submission to the draft Heritage Strategy Review. It's for tonight's council meeting, obviously, item 13.2, and Councillor Callaghan has indicated her intention to stay in the room and vote. Second one is from Councillor Glacken. Is a non-pecuniary less than significant conflict as a family member has made a representation to council in respect of item CM 13.3 on tonight's agenda, and Councillor Glacken has indicated that she will remain in the chamber and participate in the decision.
Thank you. Advice to the meeting, Mr McGrath?
Yep, thank you. The Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979, Section 10.4 requires a person submitting planning applications or submissions regarding a planning application to disclose any reportable political donation and or gifts to any local councillor or employee of council. Reportable political donations include those of or above $1,000. The disclosure statement forms are available on Council's website or from the Customer Service Centre and must be lodged in accordance with the Act. The forms are also available at the back of the chamber during meetings. There were no development applications for consideration at this meeting, and accordingly no advice was required regarding specific planning matters contained in the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979.
Thank you, Mr McGrath. Apologies. Thank you. Councillor 4.1. Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. Through you to move the recommendation that Council receive, note and accept the apology of Councillor Hudson and grant leave of absence for this meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan.
Happy to second the recommendation.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Attendance by council at meeting by audio visual link 4.2. Thank you, councillors. Councillor King.
Just waiting for it to pop up onto the screen. I move that Council receive, note and accept the attendance of Councillor Cameron via audio-visual link for the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second it, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Okay, we're up to, there are no mayoral minutes. Action plan 6.1. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. Through you to move the recommendation as a motion that the following action plans be received and noted. 1, actions completed since previous meeting for noting only. 2, actions awaiting response from external parties. 3, actions in progress. And 4, long-term issues more than 3 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
Yeah, happy to second.
Thank you. Councillor Glacken, do you wish to speak to that at all?
Thank you, no.
Questions or discussion? Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. We have confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 13th of July 2026. Councillor King.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 13th of July 2026 at 6 p.m. be confirmed.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second it.
Thank you. Councillor King, do you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you.
No questions or discussion. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. CM 8.1, there are no reports from community forums. CM 9, notice of motion or notice of rescission. We have a 9.1 notice of motion infrastructure contribution plan. In light of the absence of Councillor Hudson, who was the mover of the motion due to an illness, and in accordance with clause 10.4b of the Code of Meeting Practice, notice of motion infrastructure contributions plan be deferred for consideration till the next meeting of council. Happy to take a second if that's possible. Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. I was happy to move it in his absence, however.
I think he'd prefer to speak to it himself.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're happy to second? Yes. Okay. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Okay. 10 presentations and deputations. We have the 10.1 draft East Albury Precinct Plan public exhibition. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Is it? No? He's doing a lot of moving around.
He's just getting the flicker.
Thank you, Mayor Mack, and good evening, councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to present the draft East Albury Precinct Plan. Let's check that we have things in order. So in terms of context, there's recognition that Council's endorsed position remains in favour of a greenfield hospital site, and that was a consideration in the preparation of this plan. It is also acknowledged, however, that the precinct plan itself is based on the formative components of the community that exist now as well. And so it's important to consider the hospital in that context. The plan is intentioned to guide multiple government agencies towards a planned strategic outcome, particularly Transport for New South Wales in terms of Borella Road, River Highway precinct, and Homes for New South Wales in their plans. We hope the plan gives a very clear message about Council's intentions with respect to the strategic outcomes of the precinct. And naturally, we acknowledge the plan can be amended at any time to respect some of the strategic changes in direction that may happen in the course of the next few years. In terms of further overview, the report that is provided in the agenda tonight for Council consideration seeks approval to proceed to the public exhibition of the draft East Albury Precinct Plan. The intention is to communicate Council's intended strategic direction and to bring that to the community to test and provide feedback about the long-term planning framework proposed for this precinct. The New South Wales government agencies clearly partnered in this and involved have noted the value of coordinated planning response in this space, and this is obviously very clear in some of the several major components of the plan. We believe the delivery strategy is a pragmatic advocacy tool, partly in that relationship, but it's important in establishing these relationships and how they move forward. So in terms of background, this project has been underway for some time. It was considered a coordinated planning response was necessary, recognising in 2019 that we were getting early signals from the state government around investment in this area and the implications associated with that investment. We have seen some of that recently. So clearly the Borella Road and Riverina Highway corridor strategy was a key component to that. And that transport infrastructure is something we can leverage in terms of design and development in the area. We also acknowledge that there were upgrades, and there have continued to be upgrades to the hospital over this period. And as you can see, the plan on screen there just shows that upgraded infrastructure proposal and the interface opportunities that exist. In terms of additional background, we recognise the large-scale housing renewal associated with Homes New South Wales work that's proposed in this area and the importance of that. This was reported to Council and addressed in the Albury Local Housing Strategy, which was adopted in March of 2023. In terms of the public consultation associated with this particular piece of work, the July through to the end of 2024, we shared with the neighbourhood the opportunity to be involved, and we had over 150 participants. The Stage 2 consultation attracted an additional 300 participants, and we took it to a CEO workshop with a presentation in October of 2025. And this is just to reacquaint yourselves with the study area. It's a very specific area of East Albury. It's not the entire area. It's very defined. It has strong connections to, this area has strong connections to the Albury City Centre. It also is a linking area through to the significant growth area of Thaguna-Willinga, and it, at the moment at least, is home to some significant health and educational facilities. So as you can see, it relates to a relatively defined area. This slide shows you some of the 5 focus areas, which are key considerations at a higher strategic level. In the northwest, you have the active recreation precinct with Alexandra Park, Loring Jackson Sports Centre and PCYC. And in the more southern area, you have the hospital campus and important local centre for commercial in the area. In between, you have opportunities potentially for housing diversity and density, recognising the social affordable housing options that are recognised in the Eastern Circuit Master Plan area. In terms of the plan on the page, you'll notice that much of the work here leverages those already existing elements of the plan area. So clearly, there's a strong historical grid pattern to this development, and the plan attempts to respect the nature of this plan and this portion of East Albury, and represents a modest plan, like I've mentioned before, leveraging the existing urban form and introducing at the fringes of the local commercial centre some mixed-use applications, and potentially testing that in the process with consultation. This is simply an example of how a detailed assessment of the precinct will look in consultation materials, and just shows you that we have some more concentrated, focused in areas with some more refined elements associated with those areas. There are a range of delivery strategies associated with the project. In terms of progressing it generally, though, it's recognised that this was an opportunity to do something in East Albury. It's timely and responsive to what is already happening in the area. We consider it a low-cost, conservative and relatively pragmatic approach to planning for that area. And it is the opportunity to share some responsibility with significant state agencies in their development of the area. And ultimately, it's a long-term plan with sequencing with various timeframes. And finally, our next steps are to report it to Council, and that's what's happening this evening under 13.1, seeking allowance to proceed to public exhibition of the documentation. The intention would be to exhibit that document in August, with the intention to return later in the year with a consideration of the related submissions and ready for a planning proposal to commence. I have representatives of our city planning team with me this evening, so we can field any questions you might have now. Alternatively, if you would prefer, we would be happy to wait for questions until Council considers the report and related materials under 13.1.
Councillor Callaghan, question?
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Wilson. I have a few questions, if I may. Firstly, I'd like to start by saying I attended a few of the consultation pop-ups that were happening. They were really engaging with our community. They were at sites where our community members didn't have to come to Council to participate. I think Council really went to the community on this one, and I think that is to be really applauded. There was barbecues in parks where people could naturally engage with the Council, and I thought that was an outstanding example of how we should be communicating and consulting with our community. I have a question in regards to the Barella Road corridor strategy. My understanding is now it was in 2020, so it's been 6 years, and there's been no real commitment, as I understand, from that strategy, which looks at those same intersections that we've highlighted here today, being at East Street Barella Road and Keene Street Barella Road. You know, I don't know how many times I see people cross there. I was watching a father with a little newborn baby on his chest crossing 4 lanes of traffic and then to hit a refuge only to go to the IGA. I've seen people on wheelchairs trying to cross there and people stopping in the middle of a roundabout putting hazards on. This is not new news to anyone here, but I suppose what commitment has been made, if any, from Transport for New South Wales? I know this is a new strategy coming forward which really supports it, but where are we at with that?
Mr Lawson.
Yeah, thank you for the question through you, Mayor Mac. So Transport for New South Wales have completed some concepts around Barella Road from essentially East Street through to the interchange. Yep. Those concepts, they do have preferred concepts along that section. They now are required to, following that, we would need to go to detailed design. They need to now put a business case together to secure funding so that that next step can occur. So that funding has not yet been secured.
Is there any, moment on the horizon anytime soon? Is something that takes a decade? How long is a piece of string? I just can't imagine anywhere in the city that anyone would have to cross 4 lanes of traffic from a health precinct. I find it quite frustrating.
Look, through you, Mayor Mac, it's certainly a section particularly adjacent to the hospital that we're really keen to see happen. So we'll need to continue that advocacy around that site. But at this stage, we're not aware of any commitment around funding for detailed design at this stage.
Thanks, Mr Lawson. I just had a couple more, if I might. I understand there's been lots of collaboration with other entities. I suppose when it comes to the hospital redevelopment, has health infrastructure formally endorsed some of the assumptions that are here on that precinct plan? I suppose around housing, transport, commercial growth as well, and the interfacing of a hospital with this plan?
I think the answer's no.
It's a raving mic at the moment. It's going back. Mr Wilson.
Through you, Mayor Mac. Upon consideration, the answer seems to be no.
Thank you. No worries. Another one, if I may, around hospital parking. Obviously, I understand that hospital parking absolutely remains the responsibility of health infrastructure, yet the residents in this catchment, which we are looking at in detail, continue to absorb the overflow. So what pressure is Council putting on New South Wales, given that we've reflected in this document too that we're looking at a greenfield site on that promised multi-level car park?
Through you, Mayor Mac, there's continued advocacy in this space. We had a development application in relation to the emergency department, and that led to the delivery of additional car parking in the precinct. Whenever we're given the opportunity to comment on the material that's sort of proffered by the state, car parking is obviously a crucial item we raise every time. We believe that to a degree, that it's possible at least anyway, the draft heritage review gives us another point of leverage in terms of that discussion. So it's certainly recognised from a development perspective and planning perspective the importance of parking in that precinct.
So, okay, that's all right. Thank you. And just one final question, if I may. I'll probably ask them all later, but just around funding and delivery. So which projects identified in this precinct plan are actually funded for in the next 4 to 5 year delivery plan?
Ms Leopold.
Thanks for the question. Councillor Callaghan, through you, Mayor Mac. So as Mr Lawson explained, funding for a detailed design in relation to transport and traffic has not yet occurred through Transport for New South Wales. There are commitments by Homes New South Wales to further develop the Eastern Circuit precinct, and as you're aware, there is funding commitments in relation to the redevelopment of the hospital at the moment. I think the key points that have just been pulled out around parking and how these things work together is exactly why this precinct plan's been developed, that we would like those multiple competing priorities to be working together so that we get a combined outcome for the community.
Thank you, Ms Leopold. Thank you.
Councillor Glucken, question?
Yes. With reference to our community consultation and reference, Mr Mayor, to the first question asked by Councillor Callaghan, with reference to the Barella Road and what progress have we made? Are our community being asked to provide feedback on that as part of this community consultation?
Mr Wilson, I would have thought this report is about that.
Through you, Mayor Mac, that's right. While it's not, I don't think it's specifically listed as a strategy, it is an opportunity to have that discussion.
Thank you.
I would be very surprised if we don't hear something about it.
Yep, great. Perfect opportunity for our community to provide feedback via us to the New South Wales Government. Fantastic. My second point is with reference to the local commercial centre, and it's sort of an issue that I have noticed of late, and it's based on often people saying there are so many vacant shops along Dean Street. And so my question is about how do we deal with that if we're looking at potentially the local people in East Albury wanting to expand their local centre, commercial centre. How do we deal with that, noting that one of the reasons that there are vacant stores on Dean Street is because retail has changed, but there have also been other developments. So there's been increased shopping or retail footprint in Thurgoona. There's been increased retail footprint in Wodonga. There's been increased retail footprint in various suburbs in Wodonga too, not just in the CBD. And all of these have an impact. So what is the likely outcome with the local centre? Reference the feedback from our community, and then the bigger picture outcome as to how that might pan out. In so much as I'm thinking the community is probably going to say, yes, we want to have increased local shops there, we want a good shopping strip. But what is the reality of that outcome for retail, including in that space, noting the vacant stores around?
Mr. Wilson.
Through you, Mayor Mac, it's a complicated question. Appreciate the question. So we obviously already have the established local centre there, which if you look on screen is a significant portion of that frontage to Barella Road. The precinct plan itself acknowledges potentially significant increases in urban density and resident numbers. On reflection, the mixed-use areas provide an opportunity for some of that overflow commercial, but they're not necessarily a commitment simply to commercial development. They are mixed-use. So it might be that those potential mixed-use areas are residential. There's that potential as well. And shop-top housing even in the mixed-use areas. So it's not a complete commitment to sort of the centralised commercial development that you see in Albury City Centre itself. So it will be obviously market driven, and it will be subject to application to see how those things progress, and we will be interested to see what the community of that particular area has to say in response to this plan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I was hoping we might be able to move on and discuss this at 13.1 when it comes up. It's a good plan and it's logical, and we'll hear from the community when it goes out to public exhibition. If that's okay.
Yeah, good question. Last question. Councillor Callaghan.
Sorry, I just had another question. Apologies. We can do it now or later. It doesn't really matter. But I just had a question in regards to the service lane interface. I noticed that it said it had eastbound traffic flow, and at the moment it's coming in one way and out. You can enter and exit on both ends. No, you can only exit one and enter and exit on the other. I suppose, will we be meeting with the business providers to see what their feedback is directly in regards to that? Just given I don't know what that interface looks like. I think there was some concept plans initially, but it's just pretty much a grid at the moment for that local centre.
Thank you for the question. We did hold in the consultation phase a specific consultation with all the business owners, and it was very well attended, and they did raise that. Their primary concern was about maintaining some parking ability and deliveries as well, and because Transport for New South Wales were with us as well and would be doing any changes to service lanes in conjunction with Transport for New South Wales, they've made it very clear that those service lane changes would not happen ahead of other changes such as intersection upgrades at the same time.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. That's the end of the questions, Mr. Wilson. Thank you for your presentation. And Mr. Wilson, you're on 10.2 as well, the Draft Heritage Strategy Review.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mac. Just waiting for the slideshow hopefully to appear. And thank you again, thank you, councillors, for your attention. Much appreciated. Opportunity to present the Draft Heritage Review and Strategy. And I do also want to acknowledge the presentations that we had here this evening as well, and the thinking that's gone behind some of the more substantive submissions in relation to the Draft Heritage Review. So just a little bit of history to do with this one. So it was reported to the IP&E committee meeting in April 2026, and that was where submissions received during the public exhibition period were presented for council's consideration. And we also heard from speakers and representatives from Water New South Wales, Charles Sturt University, Mr. Noel Jackling, and representatives for the Holy Spirit Church as well. And we heard from nearly all of those speakers again tonight, which is appreciated. The matter was deferred from that meeting and subsequently heard in May 2026 again. And this has led us ultimately to the council report presented in 13.2 to council this evening. It seeks adoption of the heritage strategy, adoption of the heritage review, acknowledging that there's additional and further consultation and public exhibition associated with those processes. So in terms of the background, the Heritage Review project, this is another long-running project which was commenced in 2022 with New South Wales government funding. It was supported by a community heritage working group and included a qualified heritage advisor. There was early consultation and requests for nominations, and over 41 nominations and delisting requests were received from the community, and the working group also put forward nominations. So the review was reported to council in 2025, went on exhibition in October 2025, and there were 99 submissions received, and those responses to the submissions are included in the report at 13.2. Some of the key components of the Draft Heritage Review included an updated thematic history of Albury, which is used to value the various heritage items and areas, a review of local heritage area listings and item listings with recommended changes, enhancements to some of the statements of significance relating to those heritage items, and ultimately the revised heritage strategy that will be before you later this evening. Some of the key changes that were recommended initially were to add 15 local heritage items, including one new heritage conservation area, 7 local heritage listings, 16 items were proposed or are proposed for delisting, which include 2 heritage conservation areas, and there's some partial delisting associated with 6 other items. And some more numbers about statements of significance with 13 heritage conservation areas and 9 area adjustments, along with important administrative adjustments and updates. So the proposed nominations have arguably caused the most interest and certainly were the subject of most of the discussion in the public forum this evening. So on that list you'll see at number 2 is the Hume Dam. So that was obviously representations made by Water New South Wales and the Murray-Darling Basin Authority. They asked some questions during their presentation, which I understand Councillor Callaghan's likely to ask as well. There are some things about the process which is probably worth just mentioning now. So this is a process of nomination rather than actual listing. So the nominations themselves and the assessment of the nominations themselves isn't as detailed an assessment as you can expect to receive and to occur when we're looking at actually going through to the listing process. So the defensibility of some of the information will be much more significant if council agrees to proceed through to the DCP LEP process. The CSU interests are represented there at Building 673 and 678. I-330 was also mentioned, but that's not proposed for nomination as it's already nominated, or already listed, I beg your pardon. The Holy Spirit Church is one of the items that has been removed, and that's referenced in the box to the right of screen, and as was the St John's Heritage Conservation Area. Mr. Jackling's representations were in relation to the Albury Post Office, which obviously is already listed, and would reflect an adjustment of that listing were council to proceed with that approach. The proposed delisting themselves were, as I understand it, relatively non-controversial. So perhaps we'll just proceed to next steps. So the report you have before you this evening is for adoption of the Heritage Review. And once again, just wanted to reiterate there's subsequent processes to amend the heritage listings. No heritage items or areas will be listed or delisted on the basis of a decision made tonight. The only thing that can happen tonight is that we might not pursue an assessment of a potential listing. So if something's taken off the nominations, for example, then there'll be no further work, certainly as part of this project, on that listing to establish whether it is significant or is not significant and warrants inclusion or doesn't warrant inclusion. Regardless of all of that, there will be additional reporting. I believe the strategy itself identifies additional consultation with those affected parties, even before going to the full round of public consultation associated with any listing and delisting. And the actual process would occur in 2026-27 financial year, so the financial year we're in. And the review itself will address a wide range of matters. Council's very familiar with the LEP amendment process associated with some of the recent work, but this just lays out that LEP amendment process and the DCP amendment process, and obviously points out the touch points with council and community. I did want to just quickly reflect, perhaps before I get asked the question, on the dam. So my understanding was that it was to be a consideration around the walk. But upon reflection and sort of having a more detailed look at the material provided, the nomination that was received references engineering and a range of other matters. So it's a fairly broad reference. So there were questions asked about what particularly would Albury City be protecting by making the listing. So there's probably a couple of parts to this. One would be Albury City would actually go through the process of doing its own detailed analysis of the heritage value of the item, with particular attention to what it means to Albury and Albury's residents. So this is somewhat different to what you might expect in a state or national listing. So that's the way it would be approached. As I said before, this is a nomination, so that piece of work is yet to come, and would only occur, obviously, if it retains its nomination. The additional protections afforded to Albury City is by listing it as an item, as a local heritage item, then Albury has a clearly stated interest. And in the document, in the infrastructure, and so there's an opportunity then to exercise those interests in terms of any processes that might be associated with that feature. Having said that, there are various protections afforded for maintenance and the like of different items, so they naturally exist. There was reference to the restrictions in the SEP. The LEP provides allowances under Section 510 as well, which allows to loosen up some of those requirements as well when it comes to crucial works. In any event, I'd be very surprised if there was something which was of a maintenance nature which is likely to significantly affect a listing. Ultimately, we'll only know that if we nominate the item and go through the process of considering it for listing. Once again, I'm joined by... we'll just get moving here. Yeah, once again, I'm joined by members of the city planning team, and we'd be happy to take your questions now, or if you'd like to wait, we're happy to take them later as well.
Councillor Baker, question.
Thank you, Mayor Mack, and through you to Mr Wilson, I guess. The next part of the process, so after a nomination, where we heard from Charles Sturt University about their concerns with that particular building that's dilapidated and no longer quite as original as, how would that work? Do they come and talk to you? Do you go on site and look? Like apparently there was an invitation, we haven't been there yet. Is that what happens next?
Mr Wilson.
Through you, Mayor Mack, my understanding it's a relatively thorough process, so there's probably a couple of parts to it. One is the strategy sets out an obligation where a nomination is put in place to go specifically to that interested, affected parties, if you like. So that happens right off the bat. Then from there needs to be an analysis of the material they've provided and a consideration on the basis of what we do in terms of our heritage assessment, which has to be above and beyond a desktop study. My view is there's a site inspection, which I understand is the correct process. Yes, site inspection. Then the matter will be considered to whether it goes any further at that point. If it does go further at that point, it would be put up again for listing. That would then be publicly exhibited again with potential further feedback if there's agreement or disagreement. And then ultimately all of that comes back to council for consideration.
Yeah. Well, a follow-up question or comment. So at this point, if you're objecting, you're jumping at shadows a bit early. Is that fair?
Through you, Mayor Mack. It's a nomination, so it is real. And it is significant. So some work has been done to establish that these items have relevance to the local area. So it is significant, but it's not a thorough and full assessment of the heritage value of those items. And it could well be that they are not listed ultimately. It could well be that it's not the same listing as we think it might be as we go through that process of assessing the merits of that particular structure.
Thank you.
Councillor Glavin.
Thank you. Through you to the most relevant member of staff, Mr Mayor. With reference to the dam and the information we've received tonight that it is likely only going to be half the dam, half the wall.
Damn it.
I can only imagine that sort of information would be teased out and dealt with when the next iteration of this work was progressed, should we agree to maintain it as part of the program moving forward for further investigation. And that would then enlighten us as to whether or not we may end up at some stage with only half a dam wall, depending upon its status. So I'm assuming that would be the case. Is that correct?
Mr Wilson.
Thank you. Perfect.
What? Yes, it's correct.
Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor Mack, and to the most relevant staff member. I suppose after hearing now twice from CSU and from the Water New South Wales and also the MDBA, who have environmental scientists, heritage specialists in the order of 20 years, I take a point that I think we might be wasting our time and our money. That's my opinion only. We've talked about the process of this, which seems like it could take quite some time. What is the cost of this? Because my understanding is we don't have a heritage specialist in-house, and originally when this happened, we used an external consultant to do that work. So I'm just kind of curious about, we talked about the process. I'd like to know maybe the time frame, the reality of that, and potentially the cost of it. And if we do delist some now or some of those nominations, that could have real implications as well for those organisations.
Newcastle.
Mr Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. We'll just take that one on notice.
Thank you.
Can I ask a clarification?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Clarifying question on the question to be taken on notice. If we could have a guide as per item, and I appreciate that some items may not be very expensive to investigate, but there could also be others that are significantly or more expensive than others to look at. So it would be, from my perspective, the complete package, but also each of a sort of a guide for each of those components, because it might be that some of the questionable ones, if they were more expensive, we might say we'll draw them now. Thank you.
Go that one,
Thank
Mr
you,
Wilson.
Through you, Mayor Mac, if it's okay, I'd like just to qualify the question. So you want to understand how the Heritage Advisor that we use will be involved in the project going forward, and then perhaps some cost implications associated with that, or the project generally, the cost implications.
The complete project costs, but also a guide per item, and there might be expensive items and not so expensive items, and what each of those were to cost, on the basis that, as Councillor Callaghan is alluding to, there are some items that, if we approve this report tonight, will continue to go through the process, that might be very expensive to have go through the process, and it might be something that councillors might actually want to say, well, we don't really want them on that list after all, depending on the cost. Thank you.
Mr Wilson, as I understand it in your presentation, you said that you can choose to remove some of those items tonight, and if you do so, then they won't be going through the heritage review. Is that right?
Yeah, to you, Mayor Mac. If they're removed, if items are removed from the listing for nomination, they won't be pursued in terms of further assessment, and they won't be considered as part of this project anyway, in terms of any further listing.
Yeah, so the major items we mentioned, the Hume Weir and the Charles Sturt University, if they were removed tonight, then they would not be further reviewed.
To you, Mayor Mac, not associated with this process, no.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. I understand you're taking the question on notice in regards to the cost, but just more specifically, do we have a heritage specialist in-house?
Through you, Mayor Mac. We have funding which we use via the state government to get our heritage assessment. We have a particular advisor who was involved in this application, or this process, and continues to be involved on an application by application basis where called upon, associated with development applications. So it is a funded arrangement, and this project is funded as well. I just wanted to clarify exactly what the funding looks like. I'm not worried that there's not funding,
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Wilson. Thank you for your presentation. There appears to be no further questions. Okay. Moving right along. I'll find my paperwork. Did you steal that?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. We're up to 11 reports, minutes, committees and working parties. 11.1 minutes of the Aboriginal Advisory Committee meeting held on Tuesday, the 26th of May, 2026. Councillors, thank you. Anyone?
Oh, no, sure.
Councillor Baker.
Yes, I'd like to move that Council receives, notes and accepts the minutes of the Aboriginal Advisory Committee meeting held on Tuesday, the 26th of May, 2026.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second it, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. There appears to be no question or debate. Happy to move the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. 11.2 minutes of the Albury Airport Advisory Committee meeting held on Wednesday the 10th of June. Councillor Clacken.
Thank you. I'd like to move the recommendation that Council receive, notes, and accepts the minutes of the Albury Airport Advisory Committee meeting held on Wednesday, 10 June 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder, thanks. Councillor Bukowski.
Yeah, happy to second, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clacken, do you wish to speak to that at all?
Thank you, no.
Happy to put that motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. 12.1, documents for sealing. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Clacken.
Thank you. I'd like to move the recommendation as a motion that Council authorises its seal to be affixed to the documents outlined below in the presence of two signatories authorised to affix the seal pursuant of Regulation 400 of Local Government General, Local Government Act General, Regulation 2021 and the Council seal and management of legal documents and advice procedure, A, Albury City lease to writing for the Disabled Association New South Wales, 435 Diggers Road, Lavington, commencing 1 July 2026 for 5 years, file number 09/01783. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Councillor Gluck, do you wish to speak to that?
Thank you, no.
Just on another note, this particular organisation do a wonderful job with our disabled community, and I've been there and witnessed what they do, and it's a fantastic opportunity to see young people and children enjoy what we all take for granted as able-bodied people. So they do a fantastic job as a volunteer organisation. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. CM 13.1 Draft East Albury Precinct Plan Public Exhibition. Councillor King.
Thank you. I move that Council A receives and notes the contents of this report and B endorses the draft East Albury Precinct Plan for public exhibition.
Councillor Bullivant.
More than happy to second that, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor King, do you wish to speak to that?
Only that this does go out to public exhibition. I think it's an important document to set that strategic view on what we're suggesting may be coming our way and how we might cope with the demands on this region. So being a planning framework that certainly looks at, the economic hub of an expanded local centre as we're rapidly growing, of course, connectivity to the airport and also linking in with the open space, what housing may look like over time. So it'd be great to get public feedback into some plan ideas that our team have put together.
Thank you. No speakers against. Councillor Gluck, do you speak for?
Thank you. Very briefly to add to Councillor King, her recommendation that we support this going out to public consultation. And it's because the feedback we're looking for is based on, yes, work done by our staff, but that work has been done in consultation with our community already. That was those targeted community consultation groups that were undertaken. And so the feedback is really based on our community's representation already, and we're hoping for, and we're seeking greater input into that now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No further questions or debate. Just to further that discussion and acknowledge that the hard work on this particular plan, because it has been going around and round for a number of years and there's been various iterations, but I echo what was discussed before about the safety considerations within that precinct, and we have, as a council, and the staff work really hard with Transport New South Wales to relieve them of some funds, but until we get the master plan completed, their position is that we won't do anything because we need to be clear on what that looks like in the future. But I need the community to be very vocal about this and certainly work with us about the safety considerations in that precinct, especially pedestrian considerations. It is an absolute abomination, and I think nowhere else in Australia would you see people with prams and walking, and elderly people walking across a 4-lane major road in a city like ours. So thanks to the staff and thanks to the council for putting this forward. Okay, Councillor King, did you wish to close debate?
No, happy to put the motion.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Is it a division? No?
It's unanimous.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a planning matter. Needs to be recorded.
Councillor, yep. Councillor Baker, Councillor Bullivant, Councillor Bacaz, Councillor Mack, Councillor Callaghan, Councillor Gluck, Councillor King and Councillor Cameron. The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM 13.2, the Draft Heritage Strategy Review Public Exhibition Submissions. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. I would like to move that Council A receives and notes the contents of this report, B acknowledges the receipt of the submissions lodged, C adopts the Heritage Strategy 2025-2035, And D, adopts the heritage review as amended following consideration of submissions to proceed to LEP and DCP amendments, which includes further consultation and public exhibition. And E, to remove nominations, and I may need some support here if that's all right, just to clarify, the CSU building with the damage, the
6, 7, 8.
6, 7, 8. No. I am a high school teacher. That was a joke. Yeah, I've written 2 of them down, that's all. 6, 7, 3 and 6, 7, 8.
6, 7, 8.
6, 7, 8 is the...
As well.
And 6, 7.
Yeah. So I have...
And amend 6, 7, 3 as the eastern facade.
Yeah, front
Yeah.
building.
Thank you. Got that? And the curtilage. Oh, what was it? 1330 curtilage.
No, I-30. Is it?
I don't have it in front of me.
It's either 1330 or I-30.
Philip?
330.
I thought it was 1330. Post office?
You can go.
Oh,
She wants to do it. Have a look.
once you've done that,
Yep. Sure.
Just for those on live stream, we're at the moment amending the critical motion before council. Will be a few moments. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. We would appear to have the motion up on the screen. Councillor Callaghan, if you wish to start from the top again, thanks.
Oh, love.
Yep.
That council receives and notes the contents of this report. B, acknowledges receipt of the submission lodged. C, adopts a heritage strategy 2025 to 2035 and D, adopts the heritage review as amended following consideration of submissions to proceed to the LEP and the DCP amendment, which include further consultation and public exhibition. E, to remove nomination of Hume Dam, 62 Murray Street, Lake Hume Village, and Charles Sturt University, the Bruce Eels Building, 678 Charles Sturt University, Thaguna, and 520 Chris Street, Albury. F, maintain the listing but, just quickly move, reduced the I-330 Kirtledge to the rammed earth buildings. And G, notwithstanding the provision in the Heritage Strategy 2025 to 2035 to review Albury State Heritage listing in the medium to long term in the 2029 to 2030 budget to renominate / amend 1, the State Heritage listing of the Albury Post Office, and 2, the LEP listing of the Albury Post Office, and 3, the Community Heritage listing of the Albury Post Office, to additionally acknowledge the historical and social significance of the entire post office in its relationship to the Ivor Story budget permitting.
That would be Commonwealth Heritage? Yeah. You said
community?
You said community, it's Commonwealth.
Fabulous. Oh, the Commonwealth Heritage, apologies, listing.
Thank you. Councillor Glacken.
Happy to second with a query
Yep.
as I second it. Councillor Callaghan, you've listed the Charles Sturt University buildings, 2 of. My understanding...
Oh, there's one missing.
The facade.
Yes, the 673 facade only.
Yes. It was there. It was there.
673 facade only should also be include.
Kirtledge.
Yeah, we've got the curtilage. It's just the facade for 673.
Oh, maybe it took it over. The dot's gone a bit crazy.
Okay, councillors, just to highlight the minor amendments that just occurred, Councillor Callaghan, could you just reference those 2, please, to the motion?
The minor changes were F. Maintain the following listings for CSU with the following amendments. Reduce the I-330 curtilage to the to the rammed earth buildings and building 673 front eastern side only.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Callaghan, moved by you, seconded by Councillor Glacken.
Thank you.
Wish to speak to that, Councillor Callaghan?
I will hold my right of reply. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker against, Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I've listened to the debate here, and I don't think any of the councillors present are particularly expert at heritage or heritage listing. And I would like to see the process run its course. I largely agree with the recommendation, but I would like to remove E and F. And as there is a process and the concerns of the organisations that they have concerns rather about the listings, but the listings are put there because they're significant to the people of Albury and they've got heritage value. So I'd like to see the process continue. The staff have compiled this list with the help of some experts, and I won't be supporting this new long motion. I'll go for the original plus G.
So at the moment you're proposing an amendment. Do you wish to move an amendment, Councillor Baker?
I think I would. I'd like to move an amendment that the recommendation stands with the new G, with the exception of E and F, because I think they will be knocked out in due course when the process runs its course. And if I can get a seconder. Or
do we have a seconder for that particular amendment? Councillor Bukowski.
Yeah, happy to second for debate purposes.
Councillor Baker, did you wish to speak further on that amendment?
Only briefly, in that we've come up with this idea of removing all of these tonight after hearing the people speak at the forum. We got the same speeches the previous time this matter came to council, and staff elected to keep those same listings there. And really it's only step one in going down the road to listing certain new heritage items, and I think we should let it proceed.
Thank you. Any further speakers in relation to the amendment?
I'll speak for the amendment.
For the amendment. Very
Because
good.
thank you. Because, and I'm speaking for the amendment. I'm also speaking for the motion, largely. But I am, in effect, speaking for the amendment because Councillor Baker is absolutely correct. This is one of the touch points as we move through the Heritage Strategy Review. And this touch point was tonight a presentation by our staff to ourselves. We've had, to councillors, we've had a number of presentations from the community, and we have had previous presentations from our staff as well. We have also had it confirmed to us tonight that the funding for this process is already in the budget and it's provided by the state government. Now, I can only imagine, and I am not an expert in heritage, but I can only imagine that there are a number of items that will be dealt with very quickly in the next stage of the review. And I do not think they will be at significant cost, let alone cost to Albury City, because it will be funded by this external agency. There's a finite amount that can be spent on it, and I believe that there are a couple of items that will be dealt with very quickly. I supported the amendments being put forward by Councillor Callaghan, because I was particularly interested in adding what is now E in Councillor Baker and Councillor Bukowski's motion, and that is with reference to the listing of the post office and the particular reference to the Ivor story. Now, I will add my notes, or I'll support this recommendation on that basis. And should this motion not succeed, I will raise again the significance of E, as is in this amendment. The Ivor event here in Albury was an international event. It was a world event. It was significant. We have an Ivor replica. It's being restored at the moment. It's not the original Ivor. That crashed. But it is the oldest DC-2 airframe in the world. And it's being restored by a group called the Ivor Memorial Group, and they're working on that at the moment. Their aim is to have that ready for exhibition at some stage. It's taking a lot longer than they thought, not surprisingly, but they're working on it. And while the plane is significant, because it's the oldest DC-2 in the world, airframe, being restored, it will be even more significant. But it would be a shame to lose an opportunity to have a related significant entity, which would be the post office and its space within that post office, the rooms that were originally used, if we were not able to recognise those as part of the story. A frame on its own is not significant. The fact that it's the oldest DC-2 in the world, the fact that we can have supporting facilities and memorabilia would add to that. And so I believe adding this to the motion is a great idea. It acknowledges that it can only move forward if we have appropriate funding in the future, and it still has to go through a number of hurdles as well. But I think it would be remiss of us to turn a blind eye to an opportunity or a potential opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. The Speaker followed by a question from Councillor King.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Mack, to the most relevant member of staff. Noting Councillor Callaghan's concern, which I'm sure we all share in terms of our budget focus, and noting that the New South Wales Government would appear to have provided some funding towards this heritage process, what are the mechanisms to ensure that the budget that's been allocated externally will not go over what's been allocated? Does that come back for review? I know it's a lengthy process, but, I think councillors would like some assurance in terms of that funding for this process and how we can ensure it stays within the guardrails of the budget.
Mr Wilson.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Mack. We have a limited budget for heritage advice. We simply can't go over that. So without coming back potentially to council to request a variance. So it's just a budget constraint.
Thank you.
So, Mr Wilson, just as a follow-up to that particular item, the Heritage Advisor is funded through the state government funding. Are our wages funded through that funding as well, or is that a value add to this proposal?
To you, Mayor Mack, the internal processing of DCP LEP amendments will be just undertaken by council staff. Heritage advice, though, is the funded element.
So the planning staff that are already burdened with DAs and other things that are happening at council?
To Mayor Mack, we're blessed to have a city planning team which focus on the strategic planning matters, while most of us hard-working development planners focus on the development applications.
That sounds like the debate the other day about Albury and Wodonga. Okay. Question, Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, through to most relevant staff member. I just have a question and refresh my memory perhaps. What is the threshold for a nomination that makes it here? Is it just one person can make a nomination and it appears and now it stays?
Mr Wilson.
Through you, Mayor Mack. So the nomination process was fairly open from my understanding, and I might be corrected, but it was anything from a community member through to a detailed analysis that might justify that. That's simply the nomination process, though. The process that follows this is more thorough in terms of the assessment. So it may be that those matters or those items that are nominated simply don't cut it when it comes through a full sort of heritage assessment of their value.
And I may have also missed this. Did we receive a copy of the nomination and why they were nominated and how many nominations? Yeah, we received that. Oh.
Yeah, we did.
Last year. Perhaps that's why I don't remember it. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker for the amendment, Councillor Bullivant.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mac. I think most of my fellow councillors know that when we brought this original draft heritage strategy up to the chamber, I spoke glowingly of it. Some of the areas of heritage significance in Albury. The crossing place and places like that were of cultural significance. The Hume Weir, I get it, has a significance to Albury as a city and as part of that, but I see a bit of pushback tonight from the relevant government bodies. So yeah, I think that we put it through the process, and it may get pushed back. It may make it, but I think there's a lot of things out there that we need to look at. And CSU, I get where they're coming from with their bit of pushback. But we as a council have got a study put up by our staff and a heap of nominations. So I think we get it through. And considering that we've got state government funding, which is a nice thing that is not being paid for out of our coffers. It's just getting a little bit of the heritage in place, and going forward we can actually have something of significance for our city. And I'm very pleased to see Amendment E, which is Mr. Jackling's been a tireless worker in trying to get the IVA situation up in the post office. So it's a good amendment.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, just one clarification on the removal of the original motion that was now an amendment in front of us. They removed the I-3330 curtilage, which was part of a previous heritage review, which was nominated and accepted. How does removing it completely from this current motion affect that review?
Only...
Yes.
Not removed at the moment. That's the event version.
To you, Mayor Mac, so if that item is removed, then it remains as is.
Yeah. Okay. Speaker against the amendment, Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. Whilst we may not be experts, the speakers that spoke to us this evening clearly are experts in their field. They're living and working in those environments. They advocate for that space, and highly qualified professionals who I would consider are experts. I think it was a heritage specialist of 20 plus years. I'd just like to see common sense prevail. I think we should be delisting CSU, the dam, reasons that we heard from this evening from these experts. We should also be removing the Crisp Street units, as they've been highlighted as an opportunity by Housing New South Wales. Adding red tape to this could undo potential opportunities in the future. I believe, why waste people's time and energy for them to be removed anyway? It just doesn't make sense. And I understand that there is a difference, but there is an absolute impost on our council when we continue to add to a workload. The cost will be to Albury City Council, and it will be time as well as money. Thank you.
Thank you. Question, Councillor Gluckin.
Thank you. It's a clarifying question on a question that you've already asked, Mr. Mayor, if I may, because I would like to confirm the intention of the answer. The question was that I-333 has been removed.
330, yeah.
330, thank you. What happens to that? Does it remain removed? I need further clarification. My question is, at the moment, the amendment removes I-330 CSU from this motion. However, my understanding is that it would be reviewed at the next stage, and I-330 may then be agreed by the external professionals that the curtilage should be changed because we have received a submission requesting that the curtilage be reduced. Is that correct?
Yes, response, Cindy, thanks.
Through you, Mayor Mac, that is correct.
Thank you. So just clarifying, the curtilage may at the next stage be reduced. Thank you.
Thank you. There appears to be no further speakers for or against the amendment. Councillor Baker, do you wish to close?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
Okay, happy to put the amendment. Those in favour? Those against? The amendment is carried. Thank you, councillors. So this now becomes the motion. Okay, Councillor Baker, did you wish to close debate on this motion?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Do we need a division? As a division?
Yes, just to the side.
I'll put the motion as a division. All those in favour? Councillor Baker, Councillor Bulliman, Councillor Bukowski, Councillor Glacken, Councillor King. Those against? Councillor Callaghan and Councillor Cameron. The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. I just need to, I've been requested to call a short break so we can then finish off tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Sure. If someone else moved that, they would have got up.
Thank you, councillors, and we want to finish before midnight. It'd be great if everyone could sit down, please, take their seats. Fucking hell. Okay. Welcome back, councillors and staff and audience. We're up to 13.3, the Financial Sustainability Program update. Councillors, thank you. Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. I'd like to move that Council A receive and note the Financial Sustainability Program update, including the further work underway that will progress through the Council through subsequent reports and quarterly budget reviews, and B, endorse the implementation of service level changes to support the progress of financial sustainability projects encompassing minor adjustments to external service levels for 1, closure of face-to-face visitor servicing through the Visitor Information Centre currently located in the Library Museum, 2, reduction of opening hours at Library Museum and Lavington Library, and 3, reduction of to Mama public opening hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder, thanks. Councillor Baldwin.
Happy to second it, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. I have 2 questions, Councillor Glacken. Do you wish to take the questions?
Thank you.
Councillor King.
We've heard tonight a suggestion that we make available to the public an income and expenditure by service report for the last 5 years so community can be better informed about council's operations. How difficult would that be to achieve, and what time frame might that involve?
Mr Hasty.
That'll be the question through you, Mayor Mac. Sorry, could you repeat that question, Councillor King?
Yeah, it was a suggestion to come up with an income and expenditure by service report, and I guess the thinking behind it is that document possibly exists behind the scenes internally. The opportunity to make that available. The suggestion was for 5 years, but how challenging would that be even for the current budget to really sort of, or even for the last few years, to sort of compare that and just make it open for people to have that ability to be better informed potentially about council's operations and the true cost in each of those service areas, and how difficult and onerous that might be, or whether that's a realistic request we can do in a speedy time frame given we're out to community.
Yeah, thank you for the clarifying question. So the sad answer, it is a little bit tricky because about 4 years ago we went through a complete general ledger rebuild of our accounting system. So that essentially means that right now, like the data that we access as part of our information system goes back to a certain point, and then you actually need to completely review it in a different system. Now, the people that actually use that system are all but gone, you know, so there's and the way that it all lined up, like again, when we've got a general ledger, so within a small business, it might be that we've got, you know, a ledger of cleaning or a ledger of utilities. So that complete structure was completely overhauled. So trying to line it up bit by bit, assuming, you know, like we've even got someone that can get into the old system, is actually extremely difficult, like if we're going back that period. I guess further to that, we made the decision this year around being able to present everything by cluster. And so that was, if we looked at, we've got 10 major areas of council, we report regarding, you know, like the way we do in our financial statements, which is, you know, other income, user fees and charges, income from rates. We chose that reporting method. And I guess there's some reason behind that too. Like, I think it's important to understand that there's essentially 48 little entities that are all sewn together in Albury City Council, and being able to produce a quick report is actually pretty easy. It's just being able to explain some of the little bits, you know, that takes more time. And I guess one thing I think we've heard loud and clear is that the direction we've been given is that reduction in wages and overall, you know, reduction in activities complete is a pretty important thing that we need to look at. So I guess the question I started to think about was, as we've provided our level of transparency already, like, do we want to create more administration burden for our team. However, I think there is some work that we are completing as part of our service catalogue, which will look at teams and we'll look at cost breakdowns of those teams over a period. I don't think it's going to be 5 years.
Thank you.
Question, Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. My questions are in relation to the projects listed up here this evening. Wanting to know what the cost savings are for closing the library for 4 hours in Albury and 3 hours in Lavington, a total of 7 hours a week at the library. So what's the cost per week?
Ms. Cade.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor Mac, the cost savings for closing the libraries for those reduction hours is approximately $60,000 per year.
And what about the cost savings from closing Mama for 13 hours?
The cost savings for Mama for that time period for a year is approximately $50,000.
Thank you.
Councillor Glegg, do you have a question or do you wish to open debate?
I had a question. Thank you. Through you to the most relevant member of staff, this evening we had presentations from a number of people. Two I'd like to have clarified, or 2 points they raised I'd like to have clarified, please. The first was a speaker said that raised the issue of developer contributions, said that we're not charging enough. I can't remember the words. I think we're charging the minimum, I think was being was suggested. And I do apologise if I've got that wrong. But my understanding is we're actually charging the maximum, that we have reached the rate, we've reached the cap of developer contributions for New South Wales. Is that the case?
Thanks for the question, Councillor Glacken. Through you, Mayor Mac. To answer your question directly, yes, that is correct. We are currently charging the maximum we can under the cap of $20,000 per lot.
Thank you. The next question is with reference to staffing. And there was a figure for full-time equivalent, I believe, quoted of over 600 people, stressing on the full-time equivalent. Through you, Mr Mayor, to the most relevant member of staff, is that correct?
Mr Hastie.
Thank you for the question through you, Mayor Mac. I might actually take that number on notice. There is a little bit of work we've been trying to look at today just to make sure, but I'd rather provide the information with a bit more clarity on notice if it's okay.
Thank you. And
Mr McGrath.
Just to add to that, I need to point out that there are a number of vacancies, and I think it's in the vicinity of 120. Don't quote me on that, but it's in that vicinity, and they've been held vacant in the current situation as a means to try and rein in some of the cost issues.
thank you. And it's really confirming my memory of the statement made was that we have over 600 full-time equivalent employees, and that's really what I wanted that clarification on. So happy to take that on notice. That's fine. Thank you.
Councillor Clegg, would you like to open debate? I'm just getting more questions. I'd like the debate to be open if you could, please.
Thank you. Councillors, tonight we've been provided with a report from our staff, and it's a report built on a number of other reports we've had and presentations over a number of months, where our staff have, for a significant period of time, been working towards achieving some sustainable savings within our operation program. And I need to confirm that it's our operation program. So it's not the larger projects, it's the ongoing day-to-day operational costs of Albury City Council. So this report brings us up to date with the next with the most recent work that they've undertaken, with the next initiatives of our staff to continue to reduce the costs. And this shows our community that we are, as a council, working towards becoming more sustainable again. And it confirms that the staff have been undertaking this process for a very long time, and it has taken some significant period of time for us to reach this point. But we've done a number of reviews in that period. We've undertaken some significant investigations as to how we can operate on a daily basis across a number of areas within council. And that work has been ongoing for, I think it's about 5 years now. So this is not the first report. This is not the only level of savings that have been made. The review has been ongoing for a number of years. And if only I knew what the figure is that we have saved over that time, it would be great to be able to bring that to this discussion tonight. Unfortunately, I don't have that figure because it's such a long period of time that the staff have been working towards this. So I look forward to hearing further input and questions from the councillors, and I accept that we won't have all of the answers tonight from our staff. There'll be a number of questions that they'll want to take on notice, and I accept that is fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 2 speakers against, but 1 question. Councillor Bilvin.
Thank you, Mayor Max, to the relevant member of staff. Following up on the other questions, the savings that the two establishments, $60,000 and $50,000. Can you give me an estimation, or what, if it's FTE or is it casual wages, or is it part-time wages or full-time wages? Have we got a breakdown, please?
Ms Evans-Barr.
No.
Ms Code.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mayor Mac. The breakdown of the savings will vary. So some of it will be casual hours, some of it will be additional hours for part-time staff who have chosen to elect to work on Saturdays or Sundays, and some of them in some of the other areas will be full-time staff. So it just depends on which area you're looking at, what time of day and when those closures are being made or those reductions are being made.
Speaker against, Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. Can you hear me all right?
All clear.
These measures do not go far enough. Simple as that. They're, in my view, that we're only dabbling with the measures that have been taken so far. We have to reconcile ourselves to the fact that we're going to have to massively reduce services if we're going to avoid a special rate variation. The trouble is that some of the councillors, and it appears to me many others within the structure of council, think that a special rate variation is not only the best choice, but it's also somehow deserved. Well, I'm implacably opposed, as I've always been, to special rate variations. I'll continue to fight against it, many and all forums. And I think that we need to consider drastic action. And by drastic action, I mean things like closing Mama and putting it into care and maintenance until the city is in a better fiscal position. It costs us over $2.5 million a year, as I always warned it would, which is why I opposed it. And we would take the staff, in my view, and redeploy them elsewhere in the organisation. This is what this report, the measures contained within it, simply do not go far enough. Likewise, we have to reconcile ourselves to the fact that we may have to close one of our libraries. At least, sorry, is someone speaking, or am I interrupting someone by speaking?
Continue.
Thank you. So, we need to change the fundamental way we're approaching this. We are not approaching it in a serious manner, in my view, and we need to do much, much more and reconcile ourselves to the unpleasant fact that there is going to have to be a big diminution of services in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Speakers for? There are none. Speaker against, Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. Whilst I support financial sustainability, I believe this report is undercooked. Tonight, we're being asked to have a conversation about financial sustainability, but from where I sit, it feels more like smoke and mirrors than genuine reform. Whilst I acknowledge Part A of the motion, the community don't want to hear council are making changes, they want to see it. And we've had time to make these changes and we're still working towards them. We have the opportunity to save millions, and this is what we are delivering to our community. 3 hours here and 4 hours here. This isn't what makes a really big difference to our community. Yet again, we're missing the point. If we're serious about putting council back on a sustainable footing, then we need to start having a hard look internally before we ask our community to dig deeper and into their own pockets. I simply cannot support going to the community for a significant special rate variation while there are still obvious opportunities to reduce expenditure. For example, there is almost $1 million allocated to strategies, reviews, plans, many of them delivered by external consultants in the Capital Works budget. This money should be reallocated to pay down debt. 2 examples of this. East Albury Industrial Precinct Review is privately owned land that we have in the budget for $120,000. It is mind-blowing to think that we're spending council money on private property. Young Street Land Use Strategy is another one. It's owned by the Rail Corp. We've got $150,000 allocated in our budget for that. We've already spent $250,000 on a land use strategy for that precinct, and we're going to put another dump another $150,000 into it. That is ridiculous. We also need to take a really hard look at the $10 million fleet replacement program. I looked over years, and in November last year it was at $7.7 million, and then it's jumped to $10.2 million. Can we reduce the size of the fleet? Can we increase carpooling around town? How many staff have vehicles? Every dollar we save internally is a dollar that we don't need to ask our ratepayers to provide. Then there are capital works. And people say that this is restricted funding, but I have absolute evidence that over years we have reduced and reduced and reduced for the reason that we're trying to save money. So yes, we do need to look at capital works projects, because when we implement those capital works projects, there are ongoing costs to those capital works projects. And quite frankly, we simply can't afford it. I've identified more than $8.7 million in projects. While they may have had merit, and I may have supported them in the past, it's before this came to fruition that we knew we're in such a big hole. They're not essential right now. Some examples of those are the Albury Swim Centre toilet upgrade for $900,000. It's a nice to have, but it's not critical. The country passenger transport for $400,000. I think it's only in there because we believed we were getting $700,000 in grant funding that just went poof and disappeared. Butt Street, $1.6 million on a road. There are 30 homes in that street. 25 of those residents don't want it. There is an easy win there. Dean Street and Garden Street, we want to spend $2.8 million on a roundabout and street reconfiguration. Keyworth Street, between Hume and Smollett Street, $1.7 million to fix the road up, when we've got a car park sitting there and we don't even know what's going to happen to it, but yet we've got money allocated to fixing up the road. It doesn't make sense to me. We have a retail action plan implementation for $330,000 to train people in business. That is not our job, to activate empty street fronts. That is not our job. This is not the responsibility of Albury City Council. These are the types of projects that should be deferred until our financial position is genuinely stable, because financial sustainability is achieved by making disciplined decisions, setting clear priorities, and exhausting every opportunity to reduce our own spending, including investing in structural reform, further investigation into developer contributions, and actioning the land and property strategy that's coming before us in the coming months. Reducing operation costs before an SRV is even considered. We are asking the community to consider paying more before we've even demonstrated that reasonable steps have been taken to reduce costs and to improve efficiencies. The order should be the other way around. Do the work first, show the community the results, and then, If there are still genuine funding gaps, have an informed conversation about how to best address it. This SRV is being rushed through, and I call to pause the SRV until all work has been done to demonstrate financial discipline. Thank you.
Any further speakers for or against your questions? Thanks. Councillor Baker speaking for.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. Yes, I'm supporting the report tonight. I've heard a fair bit from Councillor Cameron and Councillor Callaghan about their concerns with the spending, but it is a difficult thing that council does. They have to represent all the people of this city in different ways, and I don't think it's just as simple as closing this or closing that. We've got about 18.8 million deficit at this point. I've heard no way we're going to fix it, and it will get more and more difficult every year. So the SRV has not been decided on, but the spade work for that, if that's to occur, needs to happen, and it needs to happen now, and that is prudent planning. To suggest that we can turn it around by closing this or closing that, I think is incorrect, and I'm having trouble seeing a really easy path that Albury City can get out of it. We can't get out of it by just cutting everything and reducing services, because then Albury is not the way we want it to be. People come here and live here because it's a good place to live, work, do business and bring up families. So there might be somewhere in the middle that needs to occur to get to a place that we're sustainable. But at the moment we're not. It's year on year on year deficits, and they're big ones. Council staff are working really hard to get to this point. I note Councillor Cameron talks about Mama and how much it costs each year, but, and it's always the case with Councillor Cameron, when we talk about closing something, where do the staff go? We redeploy them somewhere. If we redeploy them, they're still taking those wages, and we're not getting to the cause of some of these issues and the cost of running a business like this. So I'll be supporting the work we're doing, the financial sustainability program, which is considered, measured, strategic, and it's working to an outcome where we can get to running our general fund and not being in deficit every year. So I think we're going along it the right way. The SRV has not been decided, and to scare people that this is what's coming is incorrect at this point. It'll be a council decision, and it'll be based on solid evidence and feedback from the community. So I'm more than happy to support this recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor King has a question. I have a speaker for.
Thank you. Just noting in the report the full range of improvement areas and their financial impacts that have been summarised, which I do appreciate, because I think that was my comment last time. We need to show what efforts we've already made or planning to make, and I think that has identified a few things. I just wanted a bit more information in relation to project delivery planned, because it talks about $3.3 million of potential ongoing savings. So that is pleasing to hear that is one thing to mention in terms of external service reviews, efficiency projects, property and leasing improvements, planning for internal efficiencies and potential service reductions, and a structured pipeline of changes still being assessed and implemented. Would a member of staff like to speak to that as much as you can?
Ms Evans-Barr.
Thank you for your question through you, Mayor Mack. I think I may disappoint you a little bit, Councillor King, because it is quite difficult to speak to at this point in time. As I mentioned when we discussed this particular report and presentation a fortnight ago, we're obviously going through quite an extensive review process that involves consideration of not only the service, the reduction, but also the impact on staff. And so we need to maintain our obligations and exceed our obligations within the award throughout that process as well. What I will say with that $3.3 million is that when those council reports do come to council, that will be ahead of any decision around SRV, and in terms of the considerations that we're putting forward is very much in line with the community and councillor sentiment that has been provided to us through formal and informal consultation.
Comfortable? Yep. Speaker for Councillor Bullivant.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I also will be supporting the Financial Stability Program update. This is just the start of some of the things that we've got to do as a business. I get the sentiment around the community, but we as a business have got to make the changes structurally and fundamentally within our business core to get things rolling. And I see some members from our ratepayers group here tonight are here in attendance. Rest assured, I can tell you, as we as a council group are working on this issue. It's an historical issue that has mounted up, and we're the recipients of it. But I can assure you, from my take and the rest of the councils, we will work to get where we need to go. There's a lot of work to do, and I get it. We're governed by rules, regulations, and legislation. We've got to do all that sort of stuff, and we've got to follow the rules and make sure our ducks are in a row, so to speak, to make sure that we make the right decisions and fully informed. The SRV consultation is out at the moment. It finishes on the 31st of the month. That's just part of the process. We've got to get our things in line, to have a look at them, read and analyse the data. But I can also rest assure the community that our staff in the building here and out in the field are working their absolute backsides off and are committed to making a result come forward. And we as a council group will be working on it. There's a lot of stuff that's not up yet, but it will be coming. So rest assured there will be some things to happen, but we've just got to get the data.
Thank you. Councillor King, question?
Sorry, I've just realised an additional question I had. Just listening to some of the feedback tonight in terms of allowing the community a little bit more time to fill out the surveys, give us feedback, not necessarily suggesting that there are additional consultation days necessarily, because I know there's a lot of planning that goes into that, but what would be the, I guess, the concerns if we were to extend community feedback for councillors and for community groups or the ratepayers to sort of get a bit of extra additional time for feedback, if that was to be extended for perhaps 14 days? What are the dangers of that? I know there is a structure in terms of what officers are looking to do, but what would that do to the timeline, and could that be something that councillors could consider?
Mr Hanna.
Thanks very much for your question, Councillor King, and through you, Mayor Mac. Back when we presented the community engagement strategy to Council back on the 15th of June, that was endorsed by Council for a 6 weeks program. That was exactly what you said. That was based upon the requirements that we need to meet to enable that to have a solid 6 weeks, which was the when I asked Micromex what's a good time, they said what we've seen for the 70 that we've done, it's 4 to 6 weeks. So 6 weeks was that. But it's also aligning with exactly what you said. We need to have that done, analysed, presented to Council, re-exhibited with our IPNR documents. If it's going to go ahead with an application, that's all required to line up with the application timeframe that's actually required. So the 6 weeks was a planned and strategic decision to make. We're also considering the 1 month consultation we've already done with the community about the services, what's important to them, so that will be brought into this conversation as well. So I don't see an appetite for extending it further because of the tightness of that timeframe that we're actually required to meet if it does end up going to Council and then going to an application to IPART for a.
Thank you.
But thank you for your question.
Thank you. Just no further speakers for or against at this point. Just a question. I think Mr McGrath is for you. I noted in the press recently, which seems to be full of a lot of interesting information about this, that A former councillor is quoted as FBT for our fleet as being 1.245 million a year. I believe you've done some preliminary analysis of that figure in terms of what the total FBT for the organisation is. Are you able to provide the councillors with that information, please?
Thanks, Mr Mayor, and I'm going to ask the acting CFO to look at me and nod or shake if I get this wrong. But I did read it on the weekend or over the yesterday, I think it was, came to my attention. The figure of 1.245 million for FBT liability, in my mind, was quite troublesome. This morning, when I got to work, Ryan had explored the matter. For the 24-25 period, 25-26 period, my apologies, council's total FBT cost liability was $118,000. And of that, 72,000 related to motor vehicles. So it's significantly different to what was reported in the local media.
Thank you. Councillor Callahan, you have a question?
I do. I just wanted to capture the timeline for this consultation period. My understanding that the community responses would be coming, so it closes this Friday, the 31st of July, and it's coming back to us in September for consideration. October. Oh, even better. So I suppose I just probably want to say that, you know, I got my rates notice on Friday and received mine, and I know that is the first point for others to have received any letter or notification if they're not a social media stalwart. And I probably want to say that I commend the idea of Councillor King by extending it by a fortnight. I think that we have time up our sleeve. I know it puts a bit of pressure in other spaces, but, you know, I think this is a really big decision for our community, and I think if we can give people the opportunity, you know, if they're only opening their emails on Monday and they received it on Friday, I've got a soft copy, but, you know, it's a quick turnaround between thinking about it and what that means for you and your family and then making a submission. So I would happily support an extension of 2 weeks, Councillor King, if you wanted to make an amendment to the motion or however you would like to go about that. But I think it's a great idea, and hearing that from our community this evening as well.
Councillor Callahan, we can't amend the motion that has nothing to do with the SRV in terms of the
very good point.
Feedback. So
how would we best go about that then, Mayor Mack?
Well, you'd probably need to raise it in urgent business as a potential motion, but in particular, this particular motion has to do with the financial sustainability program, which was endorsed by a previous consultant, Morrison Lowe. This is not to do with the SRV at this point. So
happy to take your advice.
Yeah. Councillor Bulvin, did you
thank you,
have
Mayor
a
Mack.
question?
More so as a little bit of a statement. I'm just alluding to what you were just talking with the acting CEO. And there's a lot of disinformation within the community, and I just want to let people know that some of the stuff that I see and read in the paper is not factually correct, and it really does annoy me, and I would be happy if people put factual things in the paper, but sensational news is sensational news, but we've got to be correct. We as councillors sit here under the public eye. Everything we say is recorded and is done. We have no parliamentary privilege like the big politicians have, so we've got to base our stuff on facts and figures. We get given the figures and they're truthful as we know. As we're given them, that's what we get. But I'm really concerned that the disinformation around the area is not quite correct, and I agree with the Mayor with what I did read that with aghast on Saturday, and I did ring him and say, is this correct? And this is where it's come to. So we've got to be very mindful what's said in the paper and how it's portrayed, because we, like our ratepayers, we're here doing a job to the best of our ability with what we've got, and to have things portrayed in the media that aren't correct is very demeaning to the ratepayers and the councillors. And the staff, I might add.
Thank you. Councillor Glacken, did you wish to close debate on this item? Thanks.
I would love to. Thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity. Great to hear the discussion tonight around the table as a councillor group, the questions and the comments. And it's also great to receive an updating report for us. And first off, I'd really like to acknowledge Councillor Cameron. Yes, he's absolutely correct. This doesn't go far enough, and that's because it's one report of many. This is not the first report we've had. We've had a number of reports. There have been millions of dollars saved previously in efficiency gains. This is not isolated. It's the Financial Sustainability Program update. This is something that's been happening for years. And if we look at page, what page is that? Page 14 of our electronic document, it lists a number of things. 1.6 in annual ongoing savings, 1.6 million, 115,000 ongoing annual savings, 3.3 potential ongoing savings, and part of the answer from Ms. Evans-Barr was with reference to that potential that we can't quite put a handle on yet because we've got to confirm still a number of items, but there are service areas that will be further looked at. 300 to 500,000 for ongoing savings with service adjustments. This is one report. We get a number of these reports each year that look at similar things. With reference, and so I draw the attention of the councillors away from the resolution and to the report, because the resolution only deals with 3 items that Councillor Callaghan referred to. They are 3 items, and they had to be highlighted in this report because we as councillors needed to make a determination on each of those because it deals with staffing implications. That's why those 3 items are in there, and all of the others are listed in the report. Councillor Callaghan raised a couple of areas that she doesn't think need to be done. Projects. The Albury Swim Centre upgrades for the change facilities. My understanding is that legally we need to undertake those because they don't meet requirements. The end of Dean Street, the roundabout. It's not just a roundabout needs to go in, but significant work needs to be undertaken in the infrastructure under the ground in that area. So it's not just about creating a roundabout. Butt Street, it's not just about renovating Butt Street. It's about the infrastructure that's under that area that also needs to be upgraded. We don't want to upgrade it, dig it all up, upgrade it, and then have a even worse situation in Butt Street. Keewar Street referenced a car park that we can't park in at the moment. Yes, that's correct. But people don't use just that strip of Keewar Street to be able to go in and out of that car park. The car park's closed, people still drive up and down Keewar Street. That part of Keewar Street needs to be renovated. We cannot allow our streets to deteriorate to such a state that they are in Victoria with all the potholes. So we don't want to go down that path. We have to make sure that we maintain our facilities, our services and our infrastructure. Councillor Bullivant referred to misinformation in his second bite of the cherry when he got to speak tonight. Interesting. With reference to the misinformation, absolutely. We had someone tonight quoting, they've been given the line somehow, that we're not charging the full potential for the developer contributions. That is incorrect. We are actually charging the maximum we can currently charge. It is something council is looking at, and councillors are on that path with the staff. Over $1 million in fringe benefit tax related to vehicles, fleet. Well, we now know that's not correct either, but it's in the paper, it's in the public gaze. People are talking about it. With reference to the question about extending consultation, I personally think 6 weeks is great.
Point of order, Councillor Blackburn, your 5 minutes has reached and surpassed.
Thank you. If I May, Mr Mayor?
Yeah.
Finish my sentence.
You can finish your sentence, Councillor
Thank you, because it is
Clayton.
my
We are
last
getting into the nether hours of the
Yep.
meeting.
So, just to recap, I don't think we need to extend our public consultation because it is not the minimum. We are already consulting greater than we need to, and it's good that we are. This will also come back to Council again. Community consultation on SVR, on the SRV, is not part of this. It was mentioned in the report. It doesn't need to be extended, and I don't think we should. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. 13.4, the draft Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan, September 26 to December 2028. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Bullivant.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I move that Council A endorses the draft Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan September 2026, September 2028 to move to public exhibition. B, if no submissions are received through the public exhibition process seeking amendments, endorse the draft Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan September 26 to September 2028. C, following endorsement by Council, the Innovative Reconciliation Action Plan September 2026-2028 is lodged with Reconciliation Australia for final endorsement. And D, endorse an annual budget of $25,000 as part of a four-year delivery plan, financial year 26-27, to implement the Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan September 2026, September 2028.
Thank you. Councillor Baker.
Happy to second, Mayor Mack.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivant, do you wish to speak to that?
Reserve it, thank you, Mayor Mack.
Thank you. Councillor King, have a question?
Thank you. I just, I know it does go, the motion is to go to community for feedback. I'm just wondering if there is a budget attached to this document, because some of these items that are referenced will certainly require resources. Even, you know, page 48, G5, define resources needed for RAP implementation, establish and apply terms of reference, investigate supply nation membership and things of that nature. Have I missed that? Oh. Thank you. What's the, just for my clarification, it does have a budget, does it? Yep.
Annual budget 25,000.
Thank you.
Does that answer the question?
I think it does, but is that just the budget that's mentioned there inclusive of all the action items, though?
Ms Evans-Barr.
Thank you for your question through you, Mayor Mack. Yes, so we've already got a small team that look after the delivery of this. So this is just designed to support the actions within that reconciliation action plan. I can throw to Ms Code if there's any further detail on that, but yes.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mayor Mack. Excuse me. We have set aside $25,000 per annum to ensure that we are more accurate, really reflecting the resourcing requirements that we will need to do that. We'll be developing policies, reviewing procedures, we'll be contributing to NAIDOC Week. There's a range of activities which we're doing, and the $25,000 is the budget that's been set aside that allows us to allocate some resources towards that.
Thank you. And if there's any further expenditure beyond that, would that come back to Council just for awareness? You know, if there are some actions that then has a program and a policy that requires initial investment?
Certainly, if there's a major initiative that comes out of that, we would bring that back. But in our last RAP, we actually reduced the expenditure because we were able to be efficient and effective in what we did, and we don't anticipate going over because we will look at ways of doing it in a way that works in terms of our financials.
Thank you.
Question, Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor Mack, to the most relevant staff member. In previous iterations of our RAP, were we successful in also getting some grant funding and through Reconciliation Australia? I remember getting that, but I believe we've received some in the past, and is it likely we'll be successful in applying for things in the future of that nature?
Ms Code.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mayor Mack. The RAP, the Reconciliation Action Plan in itself, we did not receive any grant funding for previously.
more for the actions of it, no.
We have not received any grant funding for the actions. However, having a RAP in place would allow us to apply for grant funding should something come up that would be suitable for.
Thank you.
Thank you. No speakers for or against. Councillor Bullman, did you wish to close debate?
No, thank you, Mayor. All good.
Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Well, he's absent from the vote. Okay. We've got officers' reports for noting questions on notice which are asked and answered in the document that's before us tonight. 14.2, investment balances June 2026. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. I'd like to move the recommendation as a motion that Council receive and note the investment balances report of the month of June 2026.
Thank you. Councillor Bullman.
Happy to second it, Mayor Mac.
Councillor Glacken, do you wish to speak to that?
Thank you, no.
No further speakers for or against. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Okay, we have no delegates' reports for noting. CM 15, there are none. CM 16, notice of urgent business, councillors. No one wishes to raise that other item?
I will. Please.
Councillor Callaghan?
No, you, Councillor King, it's yours. If you want to.
Do you want to raffle it? Or?
No, well, I thought it was good.
Councillor King?
Just in relation to the feedback received, feedback that in spite of our best efforts to communicate as thoroughly as we can to all members of community, I wonder if councillors would feel that it might be beneficial to, notwithstanding the resources on staff and the timeframes that they have in place, but I do think that this is such an important issue that every person needs to be able to feel that they can contribute, and if, as per rates notices that I do note that we are all getting, I think it would be something to consider for councillors, and I'd like to propose that they perhaps consider a 14-day extension to community feedback, not suggesting that staff go out on SRV locations. They can perhaps continue to assess the results that have come in already, and that just this last extra little push of being able to receive information that can help inform that last little effort.
So can you have a motion, an urgent motion, please, Councillor King, that would frame your
Sorry, I
question?
was speaking to it, wasn't I? I move that we extend community feedback to allow the completion of additional surveys for an additional 14 days.
So community feedback on?
On SRV consultation.
Because there's a lot of items out for community feedback, that's all.
Very true.
So we can have that up on the screen before we look for a seconder. Thanks, Ross.
Question, if you're happy to have it while we wait for the...
No, I want to see the motion first.
On SRV.
I see that, Councillor Cameron, thank you.
Should have used that email.
I'm going to ask them if
Belinda's out of his desk all the time.
sorry, if it goes back out to communication, community consultation add in on the refined version. Because maybe it does. I think there's further consultation.
There it is. Second, Councillor Cameron, did you wish to second this urgent motion?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor King, whilst you already have spoken to it, did you wish to speak any further to it?
No, thank you. I commend it to the councillors for their consideration.
Thank you. I have a myriad of questions. Councillor Bullen, first off the rank.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. To the relevant member of staff. What financial pressures, by extending the consultation period out 14 days, would have on your team, given that you've already reiterated before about a timeline that you've had? Is there going to be any extra cost pressures with data collection and things like that?
Mr. Hannan.
Thanks very much for your question, Councillor Bullivant. And through you, Mayor Mack, I just took some quick notes on the timing and what it would mean with resources. There would be a financial impost with additional resources required to then create the report that's required in order to meet that timing, if we extend that for the 2 weeks. It would also require possibly an extraordinary council meeting in January in order to endorse those IPNR documents that would then be late because of the 2-week extension. And noting exactly that, on the October 12 meeting, everything's going back out on public exhibition again with these IPNR documents again, with the actual figure of the proposed SRV included. So there's another 28 days, minimum 28 days exhibition period at that point as well for the community to have their say again.
Thank you.
Question, Councillor Glacken.
Yes, that was my question. Can you
Okay, next
confirm that it
question.
goes back out for community consultation at a further stage, which is the normal council process that things go out on a number of occasions, so, as it progresses?
Thanks for your follow-up.
Yeah.
Yes, it does go out then. Not to mention, if council does decide to put in the application, IPAD itself does another community consultation round as well with themselves.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much.
Councillor Baker, question?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mack. This is possibly a little bit tongue-in-cheek. How are we going for submissions? Are we short? Do we need extra time, or...?
Micromex have not seen engagement like this, and yes, we do need to put a pat on the back of all those community members that have been engaged. We've received over 5,000 submissions. Micromex thought we'd get 500. So we are absolutely, we've blown the bank as far as the number of submissions that we get, that Micromex has seen in the 70 or so councils that they've used.
Okay, so to follow-up question, you're not short of responses?
Thanks for your question. Thanks for your follow-up. And through you, Mayor Mack, we are not short of responses. That's the 5,000 on the online survey. We've also got the hard copy surveys that have gone out as well, plus our info at Albury City submissions that have come in directly to council emails, in addition to those.
Thank you.
Councillor Bukowski.
Yes, thank you. Just through to the most relevant member of staff. This motion, Councillor King sort of alluded to the potential of sort of keeping the consultation period open but still doing all of the groundwork that's necessary once the consultation period is over. Is that feasible? Can you still do that, or
no? Thanks for your question, Councillor Bukowski, and through you, Mayor Mack. We can't do that because we have to wait till the consultation closes for Micromex to then independently analyse all the results. So we can't be doing anything now. We can't preempt the results of a consultation before the consultation period closes. We have to wait till it finishes. Then we need to forward those surveys on to Micromex to do any analysis or regression analysis after that.
Okay.
Plus.
Anyone else with any questions? Any speakers for this motion? Okay. Councillor King did wish to close debate on your urgent motion.
No, thank you.
Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is lost. Okay, thank you, councillors. Okay, we are up to CM17, confidential matter. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor Mack, I'd like to move that the recommendation that council move into confidential to discuss items Council Meeting 17.1, as this is a confidential item exclusive of press and public on the grounds that the item relates to advice concerning litigation or advice that would otherwise be privileged from production in legal proceedings on the ground that legal professional privilege. Local Government Act 1993, number 30, section 10A2G. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any submissions from the public regarding the reasons identified for the confidential item 17.1? It's the first time I had a chance to ask this with people in the chamber. No, there are none. A seconder, thanks. Councillor Bukowski.
Yep, happy to second, thank you.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move into confidential. Did the staff wish to switch into confidential?
Just down there.
I know that. Are we back on? Yep, we're back on. Thank you, any viewers that are listening. The motion to move into confidence has been carried. Members of the public asked to leave the chamber. Yeah, we've done that. Okay, so we've moved back into open council. Thank you, councillors. Members of the public may return to the chamber, but the resolution passed during the closed session was as follows, that we note the council received and notes the contents of this report. That is the conclusion of all our business tonight. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff. 9:41.